It's Thursday, January 22nd. Today, loaded with questions why some gun owners are scratching their heads as the government's buyback program takes effect. And snowed in, who's responsible for cleaning up as snowplows leave behind sizable and hard windrows in some back lanes. Plus, the large gap in supply, why the Winnipeg Humane Society is pushing for more pet-inclusive housing in the city. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, Manitoba. Happy Thursday to you. Thank you so much for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. Ainsley McPhail is live at Main Street Project this morning. Of course, there was that big fire last week at the Manwin Hotel, and it really created a lot of problems for the Main Street Project because they're on both sides of the Manwin. So there's all kinds of damage with some of their clothing donations that they had, some of their food donations. So she's there this morning telling us what they need, what you can do to support them, and how they have a 50-50 raffle coming up as well, which of course they need right now, even more support.
And everybody likes partaking in a 50-50, right?
Yes, exactly.
A little something for you, a little something for them. It's a nice way to give back and still maybe get to a little something for yourself along the way.
And help someone while you're at it. And with this gripping cold right now, they definitely need support at Main Street Project, really everywhere in the city, helping unsheltered people. Yeah, really no better time to highlight when it is as cold as it is right now, because we're into that space of dangerously cold weather with extreme cold warnings that have now been issued across the entire province. We're waking up to minus 29 temperatures, though it feels like minus 43. Yeah, those are the numbers that scare us a little bit. Northwest winds 21 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity is sitting at 75%. So we are now looking to see these wind chill values in the low to mid minus 40s across the entire province. Parts of northern Manitoba could be pushing up into the high minus 40s, low minus 50s as far as wind chill values go. Clear. That often tends to be the case when it gets as cold as it is. So there will be sunshine today. Not that we're going to be enjoying it as long as these temperatures stick around, and they will be sticking around. The rest of this week, the weekend, honestly, we're going to be below seasonal right up until at least February. But we should start to see some slight improvements once we're looking on the other side of the weekend. At least from the intense extremes. But those extremes will be a stretch of days yet. So, like I said, not much to show you here on the satellite image because it will remain quite clear. With that sunshine, though, comes the incredibly cold temperatures. So daytime highs that'll keep us in those mid to high minus 20s, and the overnight lows pushing us into those mid minus 30s at times. Next week, there are those very slight improvements as we're pushing still below seasonal, but into those mid to high minus teens. Thank you, Terry. Winnipeg Police issued a public advisory Wednesday evening telling people to avoid the 1000 block of Empress. Few details are known about what was happening, but police say they, along with emergency services, were responding to a serious incident at the Walmart in the 1000 block of Empress. They asked people to avoid the area to allow crews to work. Police later said the scene was secured and there was no immediate threat to public safety. Following the incident, the Walmart closed for the evening, posting a sign on the store's window saying it was due to unforeseen circumstances. A spokesperson for the Winnipeg Police Service tells CTV it expects more details will be revealed today. Some Manitoba gun owners are confused about the federal government's gun buyback program. The province says it won't administer the program, but as CTV's Danton Unger shows you, Winnipeg police have already signed an agreement with the feds to collect the prohibited firearms.
See, they're all piled in here.
Edward Landy has been a registered gun owner for decades.
This is the SKS. Sometimes it's on the banned list.
But he says the federal government's gun buyback program, which launched on Monday, has left him confused and frustrated.
Well, it leaves you up in the air.
The federal government has outlawed about 2,500 types of guns, including AR-15s. Owners of these firearms have until October to turn them in or permanently deactivate them. Landy says with no computer, he's not sure yet if his firearms are included in the program.
I'll have to get my friends to help me out with their computers so I can figure out whether my guns are legal or banned.
Even if they are, he's not sure what his next steps should be, given the program's poor reception.
There's a lot of places that are saying we're not doing it anymore. We're not going to start, so forget it.
The provincial government has said it won't administer the federal program.
Our government doesn't think this is the most effective way to impact crime.
Still, Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says gun owners will have to comply with the federal law.
There's going to be, avenues that they can do that with the City of Winnipeg, with the RCMP, again, with no provincial resources deployed.
The Winnipeg Police Service is one of the only local jurisdictions in Canada to sign on to the program so far, with a $2.8 million agreement to collect the assault-style firearms. Police tell CTV News their role begins only after an eligible gun owner has completed an online form with Public Safety Canada to surrender their firearm. If a resident of Winnipeg is approved for compensation by Public Safety Canada, arrangements will be made for them to turn their firearms over to the WPS. So, for Landy, he says he's waiting for more details. But if one of his guns is banned,
I would probably just have it destroyed.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Gun owners must notify the government by the end of March if they are planning to surrender a firearm and get compensation. The federal government says the amnesty period for these prohibited guns will end on October 30th. The head of NATO says that framework deal on Greenland is more about security than sovereignty.
The United States is an Arctic country because of Alaska, and of course Canada, Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, Finland and Norway. How can we make sure that these countries collectively make sure that the Arctic stays safe?
We don't know much about the framework of the future deal announced by U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says the issue of Greenland sovereignty didn't come up during his meeting with President Trump. Denmark's prime minister also maintains her country can talk security and investment, but sovereignty is non-negotiable. President Trump's stance on Greenland did a 180 in a matter of hours yesterday.
You want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it.
Here's the play-by-play from yesterday. President Trump steps on the stage in Davos yesterday morning and repeated his plan to take over Greenland. Then came the pushback. The EU announced it was suspending its U.S. trade deal. After talks with the NATO Secretary General, President Trump then announces the framework deal, saying he won't take Greenland by force. He also said he would drop his tariff threat on 8 European countries that backed Greenland. Thieves made off with thousands of dollars worth of collectibles after smashing their way into a Vancouver area store.
Come on in, guys. Check out our store.
The owner of the new Westminster store discovered the destruction on Monday. The store's surveillance cameras captured 4 people in hoods using sledgehammers to break into the store and shatter display cases. They exclusively targeted Pokemon cards. It's estimated they stole $10,000 to $20,000 worth of the coveted merchandise. We have dramatic video of a storm surge caused by a powerful cyclone hitting Italy. The massive wave slamming into a restaurant in the Sicilian city of Catania. The strong winds and heavy rains uprooted trees, disrupted travel, and left streets covered in debris. A city councillor wants to convert an empty lot in the West End into a green space for the community. This lot at 546 Sherbourne Street is already being used as a park by people in the neighborhood. However, a motion submitted by area councillor Cindy Gilroy says community members are worried about future development on the land. Gilroy wants the city to rezone the lot from residential to parks and recreation. She also wants a plan put together to either add park amenities or restore the lot as a natural area. The City Centre Community Committee meets on the matter next Tuesday. An exposition of agricultural expertise, technology and equipment is underway in Brampton.
We have 580 exhibitors, 2 days full of 80 speakers. It's all under 10 acres of roof, and there's 6 miles of red carpet.
Ag Days brings together exhibitors and visitors from across Manitoba, Canada, and the United States. It showcases ag technology, research, and equipment. This year includes a market of local food and beverage products and an innovation showcase featuring 28 new products or services in 7 categories.
Things that we really want to highlight is the evolution of ag. We still honor the past, we have huge respect for legacy, and we're looking to the future to be new and innovative.
The 49th Manitoba Ag Days wraps up later today at the Keystone Centre in Brampton. Here's a look at what's happening outside right now in the Norwood Bridge. Things are still quite light at this stage in the morning, but it is cold out there. Give yourself some extra time to warm up your vehicle before heading out to work this morning. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at Main Street Project this morning. Good morning, Ainsley. How's it looking in there?
Good morning, Rochelle. Now, you guys are used to us being just up Main in their original building. We're actually at 609 right now, which is a temporary facility due to the fire of the Manwin, which made a total loss for their food in that little grocery store they have. Anything not frozen, a loss. Also, their clothing was in there too. So these are things that people rely on: hats, mitts, toques, jackets. Donations are more important than ever, and now is a good opportunity to do it with their raffle closing on the 29th, and now they're at over $21,000. So while you're contributing to a good cause, you might be able to win some serious cash at the end of the day as well. Stay with us throughout the morning as we learn a little bit more about those estimates and how you at home can help.
Okay.
Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. Ainsley sporting a scarf this morning. You need more than that if you're going outside today. You need lots and lots of layers.
Absolutely. Be very mindful of whatever flesh skin is exposed, because that's what's at risk of freezing or developing frostbite if it's out in the elements for too long. And even as you're bundled up, you do want to be mindful of how much time you're spending outdoors in these conditions. And if you are going to be outside, it's best to keep moving. At least that's going to keep your body temperature up a little bit. Minus 30 is where we're sitting right now, so it's dropped off since our 5 a.m. reading, which we use at the start of the show. Minus 46 is what it's feeling like out here once you're factoring in the winds, which you will notice today. 32 clicks out of the northwest. The pressure was rising, and the humidity sitting at 59%. So yesterday the winds were on the lighter side. Today they're just strong enough that, I mean, they make it dangerously cold on top of what was already pretty much dangerously cold temperatures. So yes, with wind chill values now in the mid to high minus 40s across the province. We've even got, I think Lynn Lake is hitting minus 50 right now with the wind chill factored in. So do please take all of the necessary precautions. Be on the lookout for others. These are the kind of conditions where we do just have to be a little bit more mindful all around, not just of you, but of others that might be struggling in these temperatures. So again, it's going to last for the rest of this week and into the weekend, so there's no break from it. Next week, the slightest bit of improvement, but really not enough to celebrate. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Prime Minister Mark Carney will gather his cabinet in Quebec City today. The meeting comes just one day after leaving Davos and hours after U.S. President Donald Trump took a jab at Canada.
They should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
This also comes after Prime Minister Carney spoke in the same room at the World Economic Forum, criticizing superpowers that use tariffs as leverage and urging middle power countries to act together. President Trump also said Canada gets a lot of, quote, freebies from the U.S., but it's unclear what he was talking about. In a statement, the Prime Minister's office told CTV News there are no plans to comment on President Trump's speech. Today kicks off 2 days of cabinet meetings, which will focus on economy, affordability, and security ahead of the return of Parliament on Monday. In the midst of an Arctic cold snap, homeowners in St. Vital are working on digging themselves out of their back lanes following recent snowfall. The trouble is, city graders have created ridges of hard snow, making it difficult for some to get out. CTV's Joseph Bernacki has more on the accumulations of snow and the pileup of frustration.
St. Vital resident Bob Yonda has spent many recent hours chiseling out of his back lane driveway. Ridges of snow left behind from city graders are causing headaches and backaches for him and his neighbors.
You have to use a big steel shovel, like snow shovels don't cut it. And then there's no place to shovel the snow, and you don't want to park in the street in case you get towed, so it's a lot of work to clear it up.
Yonda says it's a challenge every winter to maintain this narrow back lane off Woodydale Avenue. Recent snowfall has brought out city graders more than once this last week, and that adds height and heft to ridges left behind.
I just got lucky that I saw that guy, because if I waited for my wife to come home, she would have been honking the horn saying, I can't get in, because it was high.
But others weren't so lucky. Arcadio Baccaran lives down the lane. His driveway and others are blocked by a windrow of snow and ice, something homeowners are responsible to clear. He says the city is cutting costs and rushing their cleanup efforts.
By the time a lot of people passing by, a lot of snow rut are creating. That's why people backing out have a hard time driving away. They are trying to do their job, finish it, and they don't care of the outcome.
St. Vital City Councillor Brian Mays says many complaints have come his way. He's looking into why his ward is plagued with so many digouts.
I have a gravel back lane and it got plowed both on Sunday and I shoveled out the windrow and Tuesday and I shoveled out the windrow, so they have a point. There seems to be maybe a little over-enthusiastic clearing here by the staff.
A spokesperson from the City of Winnipeg says work continues on back lanes and spot cleaning following the snowfall from January 18th. Per the city's snow clearing policy, residents are responsible for having their back lane driveways cleared. One solution is being touted by private snow clearing contractor Kyle Dangle. Get together with your neighbors and split the cost.
We could come clear the front, the backs, the whole city block. It depends on just the rates. If you're not happy with one rate, you could always call another contractor.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Finding a new apartment can be a pain. It's even tougher if you have pets, which is why the Winnipeg Humane Society is pushing for more pet-inclusive housing in the city.
From research done by Humane Canada that 60% of Canadian households have pets, but information from the Property Managers Association of Manitoba says that only 20 to 40% of rentals in Manitoba are pet-friendly.
The Humane Society says results from a survey it conducted revealed pet owners often struggle to find rental accommodations because of no pet policies or because pet-friendly buildings are out of their price range. Its director of animal advocacy says in some cases, people had to surrender their animals in order to find a place to live. That's why the organization wants the province to revise its Residential Tenancies Act.
We're looking for a ban on no pet clauses in leases, similar to what exists in Ontario. And then we're also looking for the province to eliminate the pet deposit on affordable housing units to reduce that financial barrier as well.
The Humane Society also wants government-funded housing projects to require 50% of units to be pet-friendly. The organization says 313 Manitobans participated in its online survey last summer. Sturgeon Heights Collegiate is showing off the achievements of its students. The school hosted a Student Success Expo on Wednesday. It's a combination of Comic-Con and a science fair and skills competition. The event highlighted innovative projects, skills, community service efforts, and talents. Along with showing off their talents to classmates, middle school students are also invited to see what the school has to offer in its French immersion, advanced placement, academics, vocational, and arts program.
When I see one of my students talking about the things they've learned and the programs they're part of, and really with a passion saying, this is what I enjoy, there's nothing better than that.
The Student Expo is now in its third year and has grown to include nearly the entire school. We have some road closures to remind you about this morning. Lanark Street will be closed today from Grosvenor to Corden. Following the rush, the northbound curb lane on McGee will be closed from Wellington to Sargent. And on Dubuque Street, the eastbound curb lane will be closed from Braemar to Ganton. If you have any other traffic tips, please text them to us at 10400.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. You can even see the camera shaking out there right now. It's not a massive wind, but just enough. We're into that 30K wind right now, adding just enough of a bite that you're going to see these numbers look far more shocking as soon as I show you the wind chill values. These numbers themselves, though, certainly put a little what look on your face. -30 is where we're sitting right now. Many of us along this eastern border up to -35 in the Island Lake area. We'll get to northern Manitoba in a moment. Here in the southwest, just a degree or two warmer, high -20s, and then yes, let's roll on up into northern Manitoba and see what's going on up there. Not so bad in Churchill, -23. It's a bit of an anomaly compared to the rest of the map, where I'm showing you numbers that are with actual temperatures sitting into those mid -30s. For northern Manitoba, here is the wind chill values. Lynn Lake just last hour was sitting at -50. That's a slight improvement there. The rest of southern Manitoba also joining them in those low to mid -40s as far as the wind chill values go. Not much to show you here on the satellite image. Things are quite clear and will remain so pretty much across the province today. Sunshine, or at least a mix of sun and cloud, but these temperatures, they're really not going to be budging nowhere near as much as we would like them to make for pleasant conditions. We do have extreme cold warnings that have been issued across the entire province, and just a reminder that in these kind of temperatures, you do need to take all of the necessary precautions. Exposed skin needs to be covered up, and even still, be mindful of how much time you're spending outdoors. You're going to want to limit that keep moving. These are the best ways to try and stay warm, and then try and take breaks if you do find yourself outdoors for long periods of time. Okay, minus 27. That's what we're looking at for a high today, and the rest of the week and weekend will keep us in those mid to high minus 20s, low to mid minus 30s as far as overnight temperatures go. The improvement is slight as we're looking on the other side of the weekend. Minus 13 or minus 12 now, pardon me, would be a normal daytime high. And even once we're looking to warm up a little bit, we're still not getting close to those seasonal temperatures, and it will be cooling again. What you looking at over in the Steinbach area? Kevin snapped a picture of this. I don't know what they were meeting about. Peace. We'd love to see more of your pictures, so keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Good morning. This crossing guard in Toronto is being recognized as one of Canada's favorites.
This work is great, and I always love bringing safety and security to kids.
Every school day, Kevin can be found at his downtown intersection making sure kids cross the street safely. Kevin also makes it his goal to connect with the kids in the neighborhood. Parents at 2 local schools have nominated Kevin for Canada's Favorite Crossing Guard contest. He is one of 3 winners this year. A life-changing accident forced a Vancouver man to relearn everything from scratch. As CTV's Adam Sawatsky shows you, he decided to give back instead of mourn what he lost.
One moment.
Oh. Uh-oh.
He's riding his bike.
Uh-oh.
Before suddenly collapsing.
And it happened like that.
The next moment, Ryan Heitinen was waking up in the hospital.
I forgot everything.
What do you mean by that?
Everything.
Not only did Ryan not remember who he was, he didn't know he was married with kids, let alone recognize the woman saying she was his mom.
I'm terrified.
Anne says her son had suffered a stroke before enduring brain surgery and being unresponsive for weeks.
At that point, they weren't sure if he was even going to make it.
Until one day, Ryan's wife and kids walked into his hospital room.
His face just lit up. Absolutely lit up.
I suddenly remembered I have a daughter and a son.
And we all kind of went, okay, this is what he needed. He needed a purpose.
Inspired by his family, Ryan has fought to learn how to do the most basic things again. And with the help of his healthcare team, is celebrating previously unimaginable accomplishments.
I would not have survived without them.
And Ryan would not be thriving.
Laughter is a thing.
Like when a condition called aphasia makes him unable to communicate with words, Ryan chooses to smile.
Smiling makes the world go round.
And after losing the ability to use his right arm and hand...
This is my 3D workspace.
Ryan taught himself how to use a 3D printer to design all sorts of adaptive tools, ranging from one-handed nail clippers to one-handed toothpaste dispensers.
I want to give back.
So Ryan started putting up posters offering to custom print all of his inventions to people in need, for free.
To change lives would be the best that I could be.
And instead of mourning what he's lost, Ryan is choosing to celebrate all the good he can find.
And you have to find joy in your life. And Ryan has done that.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.
Good for you, Ryan. Here's a look at what's happening outside now in Kenniston and Sterling Lion Way. It looks like things are slowly picking up in this part of the city. It's a cold one, though, so make sure to let your vehicles run for a little while. We'll be right back after this.
Brace yourself, because we knew it was coming, but when you feel it, oof, it's just kind of a reminder. I know we've had cold temperatures all the way through, well, from basically the start of the year. There were a couple of mild days, but overall it's been cold and below seasonal. This worse than anything we've experienced so far. So we're sitting at -30. It feels like -46 with winds out of the north-northwest, 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising, humidity sitting at 59%. And even with that warning, knowing that it was coming, still there's no way to really prepare yourself for the kind of cold that we're experiencing right now. It does come with fairly clear conditions, and you can see that here on the satellite image, just a few clouds here or there. That'll be the case around the province. We're all in for pretty much the same, with extreme cold warnings that have been issued across the entire province as well. -27 is likely as warm as it's going to get. That's only up 3 degrees from where we're currently sitting. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we drop off another degree before we start to make these gains, which are nowhere near impressive. The winds could at times today gust to 50 kilometers per hour. We're already dealing with a 30K wind and a -46 wind chill value. There is the possibility that we see a few scattered flakes of snow. There were a few falling when I was coming into work this morning, but more sunny breaks than massive amounts of snow by any means. Down to -30 overnight, still with those northwest winds continuing, and still with those northwest winds in place tomorrow as we rise to a high of -25. The rest of the week and the weekend will be in those mid to high -20s, and then the slightest of improvements as we're looking ahead to next week. Actually, I should say, they seem like impressive improvements, don't they? 10 degrees warmer, but -12, that would be a normal daytime high, and we're still not even getting close to that. And then it still looks like we could see those temperatures dropping off a little bit more.
A man convicted and later acquitted in a high-profile homicide case here in Winnipeg has been arrested for sexual assault in Vancouver. Mark Edward Grant has been charged with sexual assault with a weapon, unlawful confinement, and other offenses on January the 8th. Grant was convicted and then ultimately found not guilty in the death of Candace Dirksen. Dirksen vanished on her way home from school in November 1984. The 13-year-old was found dead more than a month later in an industrial area, tied up and frozen in a shed. Grant's DNA was found on the twine used to bind Dirksen, and he was found guilty of second-degree murder in a 2011 trial. However, the conviction was overturned by the Manitoba Court of Appeal. It ruled the trial judge erred by not allowing Grant's defense to share evidence that may have pointed to another possible killer. A new trial took place in 2017, and Grant was acquitted of the charge. Mark Edward Grant remains in custody. His next court appearance is a week from today. None of the recent charges against him have been tested in court. A suspect is in custody after police say he crashed a car into a St. Boniface home early Tuesday morning. Winnipeg police tried to pull over an SUV missing its front license plate in a parking lot on Provencher. However, officers say the male driver sped off and nearly hit 2 cops approaching the vehicle. He then raced down Provencher in an attempt to evade police and eventually crashed the car into a house on Dollard Boulevard. The residents at that home were not hurt in the crash. The suspect was arrested at St. Boniface Hospital, where he was being treated for injuries consistent with a motor vehicle collision. The 41-year-old man is facing several charges, including assaulting a peace officer and dangerous operation of a vehicle. He was detained in custody. There are new accusations the Prime Minister is sacrificing one industry to help support another in a recent deal he struck with China while he was there. CTV's Adrian Gabriel on The Divide.
We are in the fight of our lives here.
With automotive jobs driving south of the border, some workers in Windsor, Ontario believe Ottawa has accelerated the demise of a sector already under siege.
Bringing Chinese here for half the price, half the quality, people are going to buy them, obviously, and that's going to affect our jobs.
Welcome. Last Friday's deal to allow 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada marks a return to an agreement that was in place before Ottawa followed Washington's lead to place 100% tariffs on all Chinese EVs back in 2024.
It's a return under an agreement that promises much more for Canadians.
In exchange, China is removing all existing tariffs on Canadian canola meal, lobsters, crabs, and peas, while reducing its tariff on canola seed. An act of diplomacy celebrated by some Conservative premiers.
Credit to the federal government. You haven't heard me saying that a lot in the last decade.
While slammed by others today.
The federal government got nothing, absolutely nothing in return for Canadian auto workers.
One former deputy trade minister believes any claim that the deal with China marks the end of Canada's auto industry are overblown.
49,000 electric vehicles are not going to sink Canada's auto production. That's a tiny fraction.
Confirmation this week that 60,000 tons of canola seed, as well as Canadian beef, has already been ordered and headed to China as early as next week.
The door is open.
Carney government surely hopes to pry open a few more.
Here inside Queen's Park today, Canada's Auto Parts Manufacturers Association said that 49,000 Chinese-made EVs is the equivalent of losing one shift at an Ontario plant, affecting up to 6,000 jobs across the region. Adrian Gobro, CTV News, Toronto.
TikTok has been given more time to keep its doors open in Canada. A federal court judge has shelved Ottawa's order for TikTok to shut down its Canadian operations. The court is asking the industry minister to hold a new review. In 2024, Ottawa ordered TikTok out of Canada, but didn't put a ban on the app. TikTok Canada welcomed the decision, saying it will work with the minister. Heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide, and now experts are analyzing another risk factor: financial stress. Worrying about money and food may age the heart even faster than more traditional risks, according to a new study. Researchers analyzed data from more than 280,000 adults who sought treatment at Mayo Clinic between 2018 and 2023. They answered surveys about social and economic factors in their lives and underwent tests on their heart health. Researchers found financial stress tended to age the heart at a rate similar to or greater than other risk factors such as high blood pressure and diabetes.
We also have to think about the issue of compounded risk factors, which is that somebody could have high blood pressure and they also have financial stress. That person now has two significant risk factors for worse cardiovascular health.
Experts say people with financial stress need to separate the number from the emotions. Once the feelings have subsided, they recommend working on one small financial action at a time. Okay, taking a look now at what's going on outside in the drive at Confusion Corner. Things are picking up over here, as you can see, overall moving quite well. If you see any issues out on the streets, let us know, please. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.27. The provincial average is $1.19. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.17. And the lowest price in Winnipeg is $1.07. All this information is on GasBuddy.com. We're going to go to break now. We'll be right back.
Weather is brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
We were warned that it was going to get worse, and it most certainly is. The temperatures that we're waking up to this morning have prompted the extreme cold warnings to be issued across the entire province. So we are all under a blanket of that orange advisory regarding the cold. And it's not going to be letting up anytime soon, so expect this to last through the weekend and only see slight improvements next week. Right now we're sitting at minus 30, but it feels like minus 46 with that wind factored in, which is 32 kilometers per hour out of the west-northwest, or north-northwest. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 59%. Again, I try to see what's going on up in the sky this morning. The satellite image tells me it's very clear, but every time I look, all I can see is my breath. And once again, expect the exhaust fog to be an issue. Your commute will be slower than usual if your car even starts. So hopefully it was plugged in last night. Give it a few minutes to run. And then again, just take your time getting where you need to be today and be mindful of others. These are all the things that we talk about when we're dealing with the extreme cold, because the conditions, there's not much there to say. There will be some sunshine, moderate winds, moderate to strong winds actually, and these frigid temperatures that won't be letting up at least until the other side of the weekend. Let's check in now with Ainsley McPhail and see where she's at and what's going on. Hey, Ainsley.
Good morning. And Terry, you mentioned that extreme cold. We have to keep extra mindful for our city's most vulnerable. We're at Main Street Project today. Adrita Hassan joins me to tell us all about some of the challenges they've been facing, especially as it pertains to the cold weather. But first, people might notice that we're in a different location. Why is that?
Our admin building that also housed our food bank and our clothing donation hub has been damaged following the Manwin fire, and we don't have access to that building right now. And our food bank is closed. We cannot accept donations at that location anymore. So we're here on a temporary basis working out of this building.
Obviously, that creates some extra challenges. We mentioned the cold weather, and the jackets, parkas, hats, toques, and all of it was in there as well.
Yeah, and considering the cold snap we're having right now, we're supposed to have minus 40 to minus 45 over the next couple of days. And even when it hits minus 30, all the warm supply items, the jackets, hand warmers, the toques, they're gone real fast. So we're really looking at a challenge right now.
We still obviously need people to donate. What's going to happen when they do?
We currently have a temporary donation location for warm clothing, and it's at Siloam Mission during their donation hours, so people can donate there and we will collect.
Money always helps, of course, and you guys have a raffle going on. Tell us about it.
This raffle is specifically for raising money to support our increased winter response efforts, because in the winter there's a special strain on our services. There are more than 2,000 people, Winnipeggers, living outside this winter, and our emergency shelter is always full. We have 2 outreach vans working in encampments instead of our regular one. And the proceeds from this raffle will really help us buy snow pants, hand warmers, food, emergency blankets, the stuff that really keeps people safe who are living outside this winter.
Thank you so much. We're going to be chatting with the executive director coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. This is Your Morning Winnipeg.
A look at the early markets. The Dow Jones is up 128 points. The Nasdaq added 210 points. The S&P index had small gains. The Canadian dollar increased slightly to 72.31 cents U.S. Overseas, the Hang Seng gained 44 points and the Nikkei jumped 914 points. Frigid temperatures and extreme wind chills are causing some school disruptions this morning. The Red River Valley School Division has closed all of its schools, and the Interlake Division reports all of its schools are closed as well. The Fort LaBosse Division has all its schools closed and no buses are running. In the Swan Valley Division, buses are canceled, but schools are open. The Lakeshore Division reports all schools closed today. First Nations leaders are demanding a meeting with government and hydro officials following a days-long power outage, which caused catastrophic water damage in Pimicikamak Cree Nation. In a letter shared with CTV News, MKO Grand Chief Garrison Settee says the situation in Pimicikamak represents a wider pattern of, quote, systemic and long-standing neglect in regards to infrastructure servicing Northern First Nations. He goes on to say communities continue to face social and economic hardship as a result of hydroelectric development, which the Crown Corporation and the government have not properly addressed. The minister responsible for hydro, Adrian Sala, confirmed he received the letter and is in the process of setting up that meeting alongside Hydro's CEO.
Well, one of the things that we did was we directed Hydro to do an after-action review. So shortly after the event, we directed Hydro to do that review. That review will allow us insight into what took place here, better understanding of Hydro's response and perhaps how it can be improved, as well as a longer-term perspective on a longer-term solve.
Settee is also accusing Hydro of attempting to deflect responsibility by announcing earlier this week firearms damage was found on the line that failed and sent the First Nation into a blackout. A Hydro spokesperson says the cause of the outage remains under investigation, and the purpose of Monday's statement was to remind gun owners not to fire at electrical infrastructure. Police are looking for a pair of suspects they believe are responsible for 2 liquor thefts in south-central Manitoba. RCMP say the most recent happened at a hotel in Glenborough when 2 men broke into the business and stole bottles of alcohol, cases of coolers, and around $2,000 worth of cigarettes. Mounties say they fled in a dark-colored 4-door SUV with a dual sunroof. Investigators believe it's the same 2 suspects who broke into a business in Baldur December 30th and stole several cases of coolers. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Blue Hills RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Manitoba's Liberal Party is officially putting forward its nominations for the next provincial election.
I will ask now Moshit Narula for the formal nomination.
Cindy Lamoureux, the Liberals' lone voice in the legislature who is seeking re-election in Tyndall Park, was again nominated by the party. Leader Willard Reeves, who plans to run in the River Heights constituency, was also officially nominated Wednesday evening. Reeves doesn't have his own seat in the legislature currently, after running twice in Fort White and most recently losing the 2023 election to PC leader Abhi Khan.
Being nominated to run in River Heights is more than a privilege. It's a responsibility. A responsibility to listen, a responsibility to serve, a responsibility to fight for a community that has always believed in compassion.
The Liberals also nominated Jasbir Singh for the Seine River seat. Singh has a background in business and has volunteered on both federal and provincial campaigns in the past. The next provincial election must happen on or before October 5th, 2027. A former Canadian flight attendant is accused of posing as a pilot to get hundreds of free flights from U.S. airlines in a story some are comparing to a Hollywood movie.
Are you a real life pilot?
Sure am, little lady. What's your name?
That's Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can about a con artist pretending to be a pilot. U.S. court documents allege 33-year-old Dallas Porkornik of Toronto presented a fictitious employee identification card to obtain hundreds of flights at no cost, and at times even requested a jump seat in the cockpit of the aircraft. Porkornik was arrested in Panama and extradited to Hawaii. He has pleaded not guilty to wire fraud charges.
What would you do to live the good life? All right, minus 30 outside right now, feeling like minus 46 when we're faced with temperatures like these. I think a lot of us would say yes to a little tropical getaway. Not necessarily at those costs. Anyway, north-northwest winds, 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising, the humidity sitting at 59%. But if this isn't the weather that gets you dreaming of going someplace warm, or perhaps not going anywhere at all, and staying inside where it's nice and cozy, because these extremes have gripped the entire province, gripped most of the country, in fact, and we're all dealing with these intense temperatures that are dangerously cold. So I just want to remind everybody to take all of the necessary precautions, and then again, that additional reminder to be on the lookout for others and be kind. There might be a little bit of flurry activity in parts of the northeast. In fact, this is where the temperatures might be some of the most tolerable, low to mid minus teens. That is the fog icon. I'll remind you of just those straight lines there in the Thompson area. That's what you can expect. Many places, though, will be seeing the sun shining today, but look at these temperatures, mid to high minus 20s, and these are the actual temperatures before we're factoring in the winds. Lynn Lake this morning was sitting at minus 50 with the winds factored in, and we are seeing those mid to high minus 40 wind chill values across the entire province. And these are the temperatures that we're expected to rise to today. So this is the best of what we can expect in those high minus 20s here through southern Manitoba. And it's not just today. We'll deal with it for a couple of days. Winds, that's the icon that you're seeing there in the Portage La Prairie area. We too, many of us, will deal with winds at times gusting to 50 kilometers per hour. An additional bite that we don't need when the temperatures themselves are already so incredibly cold. Northwestern Ontario, right there with us. Like I said, much of the country is under this intense cold snap. And there's no sign of it ending anytime soon. We're certainly going to make it to the end of the weekend in these mid to high minus 20s, and only the slightest improvements as we're getting up into those high minus teens. But minus 12, that would be a normal daytime high this time of year, and we're still remaining below that, and we'll dip a little further again.
Thanks, Terry. Donald Trump said yesterday he would not use force to take over Greenland, but reasserted his demand for control of it. CTV's Joy Malbin reports.
The U.S. president arrived by helicopter, appearing before business and world leaders, stepping up his demand to own Greenland.
So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it.
The president falsely claimed the U.S. owned the island for defending it from the Nazis during the war. It's Danish territory, but Trump wants it back, but backed off his threat to use U.S. force.
We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good.
That didn't stop Donald Trump's territorial ambitions, calling for immediate negotiations for the U.S. to acquire Greenland and threatening to tariff European nations that stand in his way.
We have no interest in picking a fight, but we will hold our ground.
But after discussions with NATO chief Mark Rutte, sometimes called the Trump whisperer,
I think President Trump is right. Other leaders in NATO are right. We need to defend the Arctic.
Suddenly, Trump announced on social media, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. The solution will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations, and taking his threat of tariffs off the table.
It's the ultimate long-term deal, and I think it puts everybody in a really good position. especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
And NATO pledging to up its presence in and around the island on land, sea, and air.
The area around Greenland is not longer a low-tension area. We have seen that we should be more active, we should invest more, and we should do more together.
Donald Trump won't definitely say if owning Greenland is part of the deal, but it could include renegotiating the 1951 treaty that allows for U.S. bases on the Arctic island.
Donald Trump also took aim at Canada in his speech to global leaders. CTV's Mike Le Couture on what he said.
Watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful.
The U.S. president with some tough talk for Prime Minister Mark Carney. It comes a day after the Canadian leaders spoke in the same room at the World Economic Forum, criticizing superpowers that use tariffs as leverage.
They should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
Donald Trump didn't say which statements, but Carney's speech urged middle power countries to act together.
When we only negotiate bilaterally with a hegemon, we negotiate from weakness.
Trump also said Canada gets a lot of freebies from the U.S., but it's unclear what he was talking about. Some Democrats say the comments about our country are unfair.
Canadians have followed us into every major conflict we've been in, whether we were right or wrong. This president has so disrespected them that they're now talking to China.
Carney wrapped up his trade trip to China and Qatar with a stop in Davos, but he didn't have anything to say about Trump's speech. In a statement, the Prime Minister's office told CTV News there are no plans to comment on the president's speech. The two leaders also didn't have any interaction while in Davos, which could be a good thing, according to this former special advisor on Canada-U.S. relations to then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Canada will be well served to have a more dedicated, specific conversation with the president or his team in the coming weeks and months, especially on the topic of CUSMA as we head towards a review deadline.
And there's little time to waste, as that deadline to decide what happens next with the trilateral trade agreement is July 1st.
Here's a look at what's happening on Prevache Bridge. Things are moving well here. It is cold out there to start, so make sure you plug in your car, or hopefully you did. We'll be back after this short break. It's Thursday, January 22nd. Today, gun buyback confusion. Winnipeg police sign on as Manitoba steps back from Ottawa's firearm buyback plan. Plus, Trump unveils board. A new international group is formed to guide Gaza's rebuilding and address wider conflicts. And Ag Days wraps. Innovation, equipment, and local food take center stage as the Brandon Expo concludes. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning. It is 7 o'clock on your Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us here on Your Morning Winnipeg at 7:52. This is a dark month. A lot of people feel the winter blues during this time. It feels really cold. Obviously, it's happening right now. It's really long, dark days and long nights. And so people feel the blues. And we've been talking about this all week with Bell Let's Talk Day. So there's an event coming up at the end of the month. It's put on by the Forever Young Club. It's a dance party. And it's going to have 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s music. And it's really about encouraging people to get out, make connections with others, and dance the night away. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that in our community connection at that time. And you need to warm up with these kinds of conditions. My goodness, dancing is a good way.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Or if nothing else, just distract yourself from the colder weather. Sometimes that's all we need, right? So if you can do something to get your mind off of how cold it is. And again, I will say, even limit your time that you're spending outdoors. I know a lot of people don't necessarily need to be reminded of that, because you'll be like, we don't want to be outdoors in these kind of conditions. Minus 30 is what we're waking up to right now, feeling like minus 46. Winds, they're out of the north-northwest, 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 59%, pardon me. The other day I was driving into work. I don't drive into work. A car comes and picks me up. Anyway, I was riding into work, which allowed me to look out the window, do a little bit of gazing around, and I noticed the river trail was shining. It almost looked like there was water on it. Well, it was just the Zamboni that had come through not long long before, and it was looking like calling to people. And even over the past couple of days, I've seen people getting out there. There are still fun things to do in these conditions, but make sure that you are being smart about it. We will enjoy a little bit of sunshine, and that'll be the case over the next couple of days. I mean, obviously overnight it'll just be partly clear, but partly sunny throughout the daytime. It's just that these temperatures, they are so frigid that any time that you're spending outdoors needs to be moderated or even managed properly, right? So keep moving. I say that that's a key to keeping your body temperature up. Make sure all of the extremities are covered up because frostbite is a very real factor. But I mean, true enough, there will be people, the extremists, out enjoying these extreme temperatures, and they will be that mid to high -20s for the highs, overnight lows in the -30s. That'll take us into next week when the improvements are slight. Thank you to Adina, 8 years old, snowman. Yeah, it's not really snowman making weather, but certainly does remind us of the frosty, wintry conditions. Keep those pictures coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
Frigid temperatures and extreme wind chills are causing some school disruptions this morning. The Red River Valley School Division has closed all of its schools, and the Interlake Division reports all of its schools are closed as well. The Fort LaBosse Division has all its schools closed and no buses are running. In the Swan Valley Division, buses are canceled, but schools are open. The Lake Shore Division reports all schools closed today. Winnipeg Police issued a public advisory Wednesday evening telling people to avoid the 1000 block of Empress. Few details are known about what was happening, but police say they, along with emergency services, were responding to a serious incident at the Walmart in the 1000 block of Empress. They asked people to avoid the area to allow crews to work. Police later said the scene was secured and there was no immediate threat to public safety. Following the incident, the Walmart closed for the evening, posting a sign on the store's window saying it was due to unforeseen circumstances. A spokesperson for the Winnipeg Police Service tells CTV it expects more details will be revealed today. Some Manitoba gun owners are confused about the federal government's gun buyback program. The province says it won't administer the program, but as CTV's Danton Unger shows you, Winnipeg police have already signed an agreement with the feds to collect the prohibited firearms.
See, they're all piled in here.
Edward Landy has been a registered gun owner for decades.
This is the SKS. Sometimes it's on the banned list.
But he says the federal government's gun buyback program, which launched on Monday, has left him confused and frustrated.
Well, it leaves you up in the air.
The federal government has outlawed about 2,500 types of guns, including AR-15s. Owners of these firearms have until October to turn them in or permanently deactivate them. Landy says with no computer, he's not sure yet if his firearms are included in the program.
I'll have to get my friends to help me out with their computers so I can figure out whether my guns are legal or banned.
Even if they are, he's not sure what his next steps should be, given the program's poor reception.
There's a lot of places that are saying we're not doing it anymore. We're not going to start, so forget it.
The provincial government has said it won't administer the federal program.
Our government doesn't think this is the most effective way to impact crime.
Still, Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says gun owners will have to comply with the federal law.
There's going to be, avenues that they can do that with the City of Winnipeg, with the RCMP, again, with no provincial resources deployed.
The Winnipeg Police Service is one of the only local jurisdictions in Canada to sign on to the program so far, with a $2.8 million agreement to collect the assault-style firearms. Police tell CTV News their role begins only after an eligible gun owner has completed an online form with Public Safety Canada to surrender their firearm. If a resident of Winnipeg is approved for compensation by Public Safety Canada, arrangements will be made for them to turn their firearms over to the WPS. So, for Landy, he says he's waiting for more details. But if one of his guns is banned,
I would probably just have it destroyed.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Gun owners will have to let the government know by the end of March if they are planning to surrender a firearm and get compensation. The federal government says the amnesty period for these prohibited guns will end on October 30th. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is now calling on Canadians to boycott Chinese-made electric vehicles.
Support companies that are building vehicles here. It's as simple as that. This is a Team Canada approach. We got to stick together.
Last week in Beijing, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced a trade deal with China that will allow up to 49,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles into the country each year. That was sealed with a promise to ease tariffs on Canadian canola and other agricultural products. It's a move Canada's auto sector says could threaten jobs, investment, and the future of domestic vehicle manufacturing. Premier Doug Ford plans to sit down with Prime Minister Carney and other premiers next week. This morning, U.S. President Donald Trump hosted a room full of leaders to officially unveil and sign his Board of Peace Charter.
Today, the world is richer, safer, and much more peaceful than it was just 1 year ago. We put out all those fires. A lot of people didn't know, including me, that some of those wars were going on. And some of them were going on for, in one case, 32 years, in another case, 35 years, and another one, 37 years.
The event started with a signing ceremony attended by about 20 countries who will now be known as Board of Peace members. The board will oversee Gaza's reconstruction and look to resolve any other global conflicts. Trump also said today that he wants the board to work in conjunction with the United Nations, after previously suggesting that the board might eventually replace the UN. Following this event, President Trump will meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Extreme cold is also forcing some disruptions in the Division Scolaire Franco-Manitobaine this morning. The DSFM reports these schools are closed. They include Aurel-le-Moine, Saint-Lazare, Jour de Plaine, and La Voie du Nord. Elsewhere, the following schools have canceled buses through the schools themselves, though the schools themselves are open. Those schools are École Saint-Joachim, École Réal-Bérard, École Sainte-Agathe, École Pointe-des-Chênes, École Saint-Jean-Baptiste, École La Gimaudière, École Gabriel Roy, École Notre-Dame de Lourdes, and École Gilbert Rosset. Here's a look at what's happening in traffic now along Kenniston Boulevard. It looks like things are moving well over here at this point in the drive. If you see any issues out on the streets, text them to us, please.
The federal court has set aside a government order for TikTok to wind down operations in Canada, meaning the social media company can keep running its offices here while the industry minister conducts another review. In 2024, the Liberal government ordered TikTok to close its offices in Canada, citing national security concerns, but stopped short of banning the app for users. On Wednesday, a federal judge shelved the government's order and requested that industry minister Melanie Joly conduct a new review. Toys R Us Canada is facing at least 7 lawsuits from landlords which say they are collectively owed more than $31 million in unpaid rent and other damages from the struggling retailer. Documents filed with an Ontario court last year claim the toy store chain failed to pay rent for several of the properties it occupied in 24 and 25, sparking the lawsuits. The spaces were owned by landlords as prominent as Rio Trin Properties, part of the RioCan Real Estate Investment Trust empire, and Callaway Real Estate Investment Trust. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at Main Street Project. They're at a temporary location right now. Good morning.
Rochelle, good morning. Yes, of course, due to that fire of the Manwin Hotel. The talk of the day is, of course, that's extreme cold warning, and thankfully their shelter space was not impacted. However, their food area, their clothing, lots of fire and smoke damage there as well. So, unfortunately, they are going to be making sandwiches here. More donations needed of both those food and those parkas. We're going to be talking about the exact damage, how much that's worth, and how you can help, because they have a raffle. They have over $20,000 right now. Manitoba, let's double it. That deadline is the 29th, and you yourself can get a special cash prize. Okay. Back to you, Rochelle.
Thank you, Ainsley. Nothing like winning the lottery when it's this cold outside. Maybe a holiday.
Right? I feel like next week is going to feel like winning the lottery, and we're still going to deal with below seasonal temperatures. But I was just talking with my crew this morning that the temperatures next week seem like a huge break. And I mean, in reality, it kind of will be. They'll be about 10 degrees warmer than what we'll experience over the next stretch of days. But they're still going to be below seasonal. The rest of this month, January, we have to wait until February before we're even hopeful to see a slight improvement. Minus 30, that's where we're sitting this morning with extreme cold warnings in place, and a lot of that has to do with those winds. 32 clicks out of the north-northwest and wind chill values that are making it feel like minus 46 right now. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 66%. Now, across the entire province, we're all in the same boat with those extreme cold warnings that have been issued not just across Manitoba, really much of Canada is under this deep freeze. So those wind chills, yes, low to mid to even high -40s. Lynn Lake was at one point this morning sitting at a -50 wind chill. In these conditions, exposed skin can freeze very quickly. There are health risks. We talked about them a little bit yesterday regarding breathing and whatnot. Just make sure that you're being safe about how much time you're spending out here and how you're dressed when you're getting outdoors to maybe try to enjoy these elements.
Weather is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
It's time now for our question of the day. We want to know, what do you do to stay warm on these frigid, cold days? You can text your answer to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. And don't forget to include your name, please. It's time for our Pet of the Week reveal. This week, we're celebrating Penny and Sheldon. Janice tells us Penny just celebrated her 10th birthday. Now, if you might be asking, which one is Penny? Penny is the pup with the pink party cone hat, while her little brother Sheldon is sitting next to her. Congratulations to these lovely doggies. We love your Pet of the Week submissions, so keep them coming, please. Share a photo and a fun story of your pet, dog, cat, bird, or any other buddy at petoftheweek@ctv.ca, and then make sure to watch Thursdays to see if your pet is named our Pet of the Week. We're going to take a break here. We'll be right back. Good morning. Finding a new apartment can be a pain. It's even tougher if you have pets, which is why the Winnipeg Humane Society is pushing for more pet-inclusive housing in the city.
We know from research done by Humane Canada that 60% of Canadian households have pets, but information from the Property Managers Association of Manitoba says that only 20 to 40% of rentals in Manitoba are pet-friendly.
The Humane Society says results from a survey it conducted revealed pet owners often struggle to find rental accommodations because of no pet policies or because pet-friendly buildings are out of their price range. Its director of animal advocacy says in some cases, people had to surrender their animals in order to find a place to live. That's why the organization wants the province to revise its Residential Tenancies Act.
We're looking for a ban on no pet clauses in leases, similar to what exists in Ontario. And then we're also looking for the province to eliminate the pet deposit on affordable housing units to reduce that financial barrier as well.
The Humane Society also wants government-funded housing projects to require 50% of units to be pet-friendly. The organization says 313 Manitobans participated in its online survey last summer. An exposition of agricultural expertise, technology, and equipment is underway in Brampton.
We have 580 exhibitors, 2 days full of 80 speakers. It's all under 10 acres of roof, and there's 6 miles of red carpet.
Ag Days brings together exhibitors and visitors from across Manitoba, Canada, and the United States. It showcases ag technology, research, and equipment. This year includes a market of local food and beverage products and an innovation showcase featuring 28 new products or services in 7 categories.
One of the things that we really want to highlight is the evolution of ag. We still honor the past, we have huge respect for legacy, and we're looking to the future to be new and innovative.
The 49th Manitoba Ag Days wraps up later today at the Keystone Centre in Brampton. This isn't thing from the classic TV show, The Addams Family. It's a robot hand being developed in the UK. The hand can detach from a robotic arm, grab an item, then reattach to the arm. Most robot hands are made to resemble human hands, but this one is different. It's all fingers, no thumbs. This design allows the hand to grab items on both sides of the palm. Here's a look at what's going on outside now on St. Mary's Road. Things are picking up over here, as you can see, and overall moving quite well. If you see any problems out on the streets, please text them to us at 10400.
Is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
As part of Wednesday's Bell Let's Talk Day, Caitlin Morrison, the sister of actor Matthew Perry, who died in 2023 after a long battle with addiction, spoke to CTV with a message of hope.
And giving yourself permission to just find a way to be okay, find something that brings a smile to your face.
She's helping to build a new treatment center in Ottawa where the actor grew up. Construction on Matthew Perry House started last fall. It will eventually serve patients who've completed initial addiction treatment but need long-term supports. Prince Harry took the stand in a London courtroom Wednesday. He was testifying in his privacy invasion lawsuit against the Daily Mail. The Duke of Sussex held back tears as he described how the British tabloid made his wife Meghan's life an absolute misery. Prince Harry and 6 other claimants, including Elton John, are suing the paper's publisher, Associated Newspapers, for alleged violations of their privacy from the early 1990s to the 2010s. Associated has called the allegations, quote, preposterous smears. And the Songwriters Hall of Fame is out with this year's list of inductees, and there are some big names, including someone who needs no introduction. Taylor Swift has undeniably shaped contemporary pop music and will likely bring some extra attention to this year's class. She's joined by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss fame, and Christopher Tricky Stewart, who is best known for songs including Rihanna's Umbrella and Beyonce's Single Ladies. The other inductees include alt-rock icon Alanis Morissette and soft rock legend Kenny Loggins. The 2026 Songwriters Hall of Fame induction ceremony is scheduled for June 11th in New York City. Your Thursday primetime lineup kicks off with Hell's Kitchen at 7. 911 Nashville comes next at 8. Catch Grey's Anatomy at 9. And Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage wind up at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV. And it's a cold night, so stay inside and watch some TV.
It's going to be a cold stretch of days, so yeah, you better find something to do to keep yourself entertained. Even the time that you're spending outdoors, you might want to shorten a little bit if you're spending any at all. The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. Yes, cold, extremely so, with warnings that have been issued across the entire province regarding the cold. It's not just the temperatures themselves. There's a breeze to factor in, and that takes those wind chill values into very nasty places. So let's first talk about the temperatures. They too are shocking enough, sitting in the -30s or high -20s, and we're all in the same space here. So all across southern Manitoba, moving up into northern Manitoba, we see these mid-30s. And again, these are the values of the actual temperature before we're even taking into consideration the breeze, which will be noticeable enough. A 30 to 50K wind today, and it takes those wind chill values into the mid-40s, right up into the north. Lynn Lake, earlier I was saying, was hitting -50 with that wind chill value. So these are dangerously cold conditions where exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes. We've talked yesterday on the show about how breathing becomes compromised in this kind of cold. And it's not to say that you can't step outside and go out for a walk. Your dog still needs to get out, stretch its legs a little bit. Make sure that your dog is bundled up. I mean, depending on the breed, they might need the little booties on, possibly even a coat. As far as the conditions go, there will be some sunshine today. That's the one thing that we have going for us, aside from the incredible cold. Now, rising to a high of about -27. That'll be about the time the kids are coming home from school today as they're getting settled into the classroom, still in the -30s and still with those wind chill values in those mid-40s likely. Throughout this weekend, it's a stretch of days where we'll deal with temperatures in the mid to high -20s and overnight lows in the -30s. Here's the slight improvement that we're seeing just in the start of next week, but -12 is a normal daytime high, and even those slight improvements still keep us well below seasonal. And I love this shot. The cows out there looking like, what's going on here? Or maybe what you're looking at. Thanks to Kevin for the photo. Keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Terry. Snap a pic for your chance to win with our Best in Fest contest. Festival de Voyageurs returns February 13th to the 22nd, and we want to see how you're gearing up, whether it's snowshoeing, beard growing, or building a snow fort, whatever it is, we want to see it. Upload your photo to our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca, or post it to social media using the hashtag Best in Fest contest. Weekly winners will be selected to win a 4-pack of passes to Festival de Voyageurs. The self-described happiest place on earth is opening up the archives, giving fans a rare look at the birth of Disneyland. It's part of a new documentary packed with footage that most people will have never seen before. ABC's Sam Champion reports.
Before it was the happiest place on earth, it was this, 240 acres of undeveloped land in Southern California. And beyond this empty landscape was a vision that would become one of Walt Disney's greatest achievements, the Disneyland Resort.
We want you to see and share with us the experience of building this dream into a reality.
The new documentary film, Disneyland Handcrafted, pulling back the curtain on the creation of the park, showcasing never before and rarely seen footage from the Disney archives. And featuring the hundreds of craftspeople that brought it to life in just 1 year.
We could never meet this deadline without the complete cooperation of everyone who works here. Without their skills and imagination, Disneyland would not have been possible.
But as director Leslie Iwerks combed the archives, she uncovered an emotional story behind the scenes.
At the same time that he's on TV promoting this with a smile on his face and we're going to do it, you cut to what's going on behind the scenes at the park. It's like night and day. Every day was a stressful day for him. Walt leveraged his house, his income, his own livelihood. He pretty much put the company on the line to make Disneyland.
It was a gamble worth taking. Disneyland opening its gates on July 17, 1955.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
And more than 70 years later, remains a world-famous destination for dreamers of all ages.
Just watching Walt go through this process, I just have a huge amount of respect for what he did and what it took to bring so much happiness to the world. He looked out at that dirt lot, thought, I'm going to create the happiest place on earth. It's unbelievable what he pulled off, and just really wanted to give fans a glimpse into what it was really like.
Main Street Project is staying in a temporary facility right now because of the fire last week at the Manwin Hotel, and they need your help too. So we're going to tell you what you can do to support them. All right, let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at Main Street Project this morning. The fire that happened last week really affected operations at Main Street Project, and they need some support right now. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, and it already is an emergency service for so many, but what happens when the emergency service is facing an emergency themselves? This executive director joins me now, Jamil Mahmood. What was it like that day, Jamil?
Yeah, it was pretty scary, you know, getting a call really early in the morning that the man was on fire and we had to evacuate shelter. Fortunately, the Winnipeg Fire Service, the City of Winnipeg Emergency Social Services responded so greatly. We were able to get folks to other shelters in the neighborhood, and then we were able to get everyone else onto 2 city buses, and then within an hour we had an emergency drop-in open at the Freight House. We moved folks over there, set it up to run shelter there temporarily, and then coordinated with all our partners to make sure folks had a place to go. So it was a pretty hectic morning, but by 7 in the morning, everyone was safe and warm inside, and then from there we just worked with our partners to figure out how many folks could go to Silo Mission, how many folks go to Dinwiddie, how many folks go to Salvation Army, making sure they had enough food and stuff on their site, and then also running our temporary site. So, by 11 o'clock, all the plans were done. We had a whole team meeting with everybody from around the city and coordinated plans for the next few days. So it was pretty hectic, scary, but we're feeling really fortunate right now that everyone was able to get out safe, and then we had such an amazing emergency response, so folks weren't left out in the cold in a very tragic situation.
Mm-hmm. And most importantly, folks are sheltered. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other losses there. In the next segment, we'll get to exactly what that is, but what's needed now?
Yeah, I mean, this extreme cold is obviously very concerning, but we need lots of winter gear across the whole sector, so not just our agency, but everywhere. And we're actually not able to take donations right now because of, our building being offline right now. So we're asking folks to donate to the other shelters, to the other programs in the city, and then everyone's making sure everyone shares and gets the gear they need where they need. So, that is really important. Monetary donations at a time like this go a really long way for making sure we can keep our outreach van on the road, other things like that, to kind of help in the whole neighborhood, so folks are off the street and warm and safe.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you do here at the facility. The raffle, though, you can help this cause and also help yourself in a win.
Okay.
Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. And there will be no relief anytime soon from that cold either.
No, I know. It just looks like we've got this stretch that we just got to wrap our heads around, buckle down, and endure, because you're right. There won't be any improvements as far as what Mother Nature is actually going to be dishing up. Minus 30 is where we're sitting right now. It feels like minus 46. That northwest wind, it's gusting to 32, or it's a steady wind at 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising, humidity at 66%. So yes, even that sustained wind noticeable, and it is just adding that additional bite on top of already incredibly cold, dangerously so temperatures, and then pushing those wind chill values up into the extreme. So the entire province is under extreme cold warnings. In fact, it's not just Manitoba, much of the country. We're all in this together. As far as what we can expect out of the day, minus 27. That is the anticipated high temperature that will reach from minus 30 right now. And with those winds at times gusting to 50 kilometers per hour, you can expect those wind chill values to stay in the minus 40s. Exposed skin freezes very quickly, and you do need to be smart about the time that you're spending outdoors, or maybe even limit it altogether. Minus 30 dropping down, so losing a few degrees overnight. Expect those wind chill values to still be quite intense. Winds remaining out of the northwest at about 40 kilometers per hour. There's the possibility over the next day or night that we see some scattered flakes of snow. But there will be sunnier breaks. In fact, increasing amounts of sunshine over the next few days, minus 25 for tomorrow. Still with those winds, still with these extremes, that'll last throughout the weekend. Now, the slight improvement that I've been talking about comes on the other side of the weekend. Minus 12 is a normal daytime high, so we're still going to be below seasonal, but we will climb about 10 degrees from the extreme deep freeze that we'll experience this weekend. But then by about the middle of the week, we're starting to slide again.
Thank you, Terry. A man convicted and later acquitted in a high-profile homicide case here in Winnipeg has been arrested for sexual assault in Vancouver. Mark Edward Grant has been charged with sexual assault with a weapon, unlawful confinement, and other offenses on January the 8th. Grant was convicted and then ultimately found not guilty in the death of Candace Dirksen. Dirksen vanished on her way home from school in November 1984. The 13-year-old was found dead more than a month later in an industrial area, tied up and frozen in a shed. Grant's DNA was found on the twine used to bind Dirksen, and he was found guilty of second-degree murder in a 2011 trial. However, the conviction was overturned by the Manitoba Court of Appeal. It ruled the trial judge erred by not allowing Grant's defense to share evidence that may have pointed to another possible killer. A new trial took place in 2017, and Grant was acquitted of the charge. Mark Edward Grant remains in custody. His next court appearance is a week from today. None of the recent charges against him have been tested in court. In the midst of an Arctic cold snap, homeowners in St. Vital are working on digging themselves out of their back lanes following recent snowfall. The trouble is, city graders have created ridges of hard snow, leaving garages and parking pads blocked.
You have to use a big steel shovel. Like, snow shovels don't cut it. And then there's no place to shovel the snow, and you don't want to park in the street in case you get towed, so it's a lot of work to clear it up.
St. Vital resident Bob Yonda has spent many recent hours chiseling out of his back lane driveway. Ridges of snow left behind from city graders are causing headaches and backaches for him and his neighbors. St. Vital City Councillor Brian May says many complaints have come his way from residents frustrated by snow ridges left along back lanes. He's looking into why his ward is plagued with so many digouts.
I have a gravel back lane, and it got plowed both on Sunday, and I shoveled out the windrow, and Tuesday, and I shoveled out the windrow. So they have a point. There seems to be maybe a little over-enthusiastic clearing here by the staff.
A spokesperson from the City of Winnipeg says work continues on back lanes and spot cleaning after January 18th snowfall. Per the city's snow clearing policy, residents are responsible for having their back lane driveways cleared. A city councillor wants to convert an empty lot in the West End into a green space for the community. This lot at 546 Sherburne Street is already being used as a park by people in the neighborhood. However, a motion submitted by area councillor Cindy Gilroy says community members are worried about future development on the land. Gilroy wants the city to rezone the lot from residential to parks and recreation. She also wants a plan put together to either add park amenities or restore the lot as a natural area. The City Centre Community Committee meets on the matter next Tuesday. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is now calling on Canadians to boycott Chinese-made electric vehicles.
Support companies that are building vehicles here. It's as simple as that. This is a Team Canada approach. We got to stick together.
Last week in Beijing, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced a trade deal with China that will allow up to 49,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles into the country each year. That was sealed with a promise to ease tariffs on Canadian canola and other agricultural products. It's a move Canada's auto sector says could threaten jobs, investment, and the future of domestic vehicle manufacturing. Premier Doug Ford plans to sit down with Prime Minister Carney and other premiers next week. Health Canada has issued a warning about fake Ozempic and Mounjaro. The agency says unauthorized versions of the drugs are being sold in stores and online. In some cases, Health Canada's logo was used without permission to advertise these products. Health Canada says using these fake products carries serious health risks, and prescription drugs should only be bought through pharmacies. We have some road closures to remind you about this morning. Lanark Street will be closed today from Grosvenor to Cordon. Following the rush, the northbound curb lane on McGee will be closed from Wellington to Sargent. And on Dubuque Street, the eastbound curb lane will be closed from Braemar to Ganton. If you have any other traffic tips, please text them to us. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.27. The Manitoba average is $1.19. The Winnipeg average is $1.17. And the Winnipeg's lowest price is $1.07. All this information is on gasbuddy.com. Outside right now, it is -30 with the wind chill. It is a frigid -46. Let your vehicle warm up this morning as you head out. We'll be back after this short break.
-30, that's the temperature that we're waking up to this morning. It feels, though, like -46. No surprise that we are waking up under an extreme cold warning, as is the entire province, as is most of the country, in fact. That northwest wind, 32 kilometers per hour, is what's causing that additional bite with those mid-40 wind chills. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 66%. So extreme cold has taken hold, and it's sticking around for a stretch of days. We'll get through the rest of this week and the weekend under these intense conditions and only see some moderate improvements into the start of next week. Actually, I should say there'll be fairly drastic improvements. It's just that we're still going to be below seasonal. That tells you how far into the deep freeze we are for the rest of this week, with temperatures expected today in the mid-20s, with some heavier clouds and maybe some scattered snow in the far northeast, whereas the western side of the province, there will be a little more sunshine, but clearer conditions often equal cold, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. These are the actual temperatures that we'll be rising to today. You factor in winds, 30, at times up to 50 kilometers per hour out of the north, and that's what's taking those wind chill values into the mid to high -40s. Even some places, Lynn Lake, I'm talking about you, hit -50 this morning with that wind chill factored in. Now, these conditions can be dangerously cold if you're not going to be smart about the time that you're spending outdoors or how you're dressed when you're out there. So even if it is just a matter of like standing and waiting for the bus, make sure that exposed skin is all covered up. It can freeze in a matter of minutes. So those are the kind of conditions, or the measures that I'm saying we need to take when it is this cold, and it's going to stay this cold for the rest of this week and the weekend. And those slight improvements, like I said, they're actually drastic improvements, 10 degrees warmer, but -12 is a normal daytime high. So even as we improve into the start of next week, we're still well off the mark of what you would expect this time of year.
Harry, and when is this cold, Main Street project kicks into a really high gear to help people who are unsheltered, but they are in need of help themselves right now too. Good morning, Ainsley.
Yes, and Rochelle, when the Manwin Hotel caught fire, that was a total loss. But Main Street project just beside it also faced some losses as well. Jamil Mahmood's joining us once again. What is the damage, Jamil?
Yeah, so our shelter building was pretty much intact minus the basement, so that we're back operational there. And our admin building and our food bank and clothing bank is where we suffered more damage. So lots of water came in. Obviously, so much water had to go on that fire to be put out. Lots of smoke damage. So all the food in the building is a total loss. Most of the clothing there, that's where we stored all our donated clothing. Most of that will be lost. Some of it can be laundered, but you know, so pretty much all of our donated supplies that go out every day, help feed the community, help clothe the community, are gone. So that's a big loss. And then our administration offices are temporarily displaced until remediation and repairs can happen on the building.
Just horrible. Never a good time for this to happen, but especially during extreme cold when our most vulnerable need it. What are you calling the community?
Yeah, we're asking folks to make donations where they can. You know, we've been fortunate Silo Missions allowed our staff to go set up in their clothing donation room, help them sort donations and get donations to our programs. But really, we're asking for you know, monetary donations right now to help us get back on our feet. People can either do that through our website or they can buy 50/50 tickets as well. And that's the best way right now to help us to kind of manage all those unexpected costs when you lose a building and are trying to get it back online and remediate everything. There's kind of lots of additional costs that come up for us as an organization.
Do we know exactly the number at this time?
We don't. Hopefully by the end of the week we have the full assessment of all the damage, and then we'll get a better sense by the end of the week. But sounds like it's going to be at least a couple more weeks. We've had to displace our food bank, some other services like that, and so we're still trying to figure it out. We don't have all the answers yet, but hopefully by the end of the week we kind of have a bit of a timeline, and hopefully it's not too long. We're hoping 3 to 4 weeks we can be back in there and operational again.
That raffle's climbing over $21,000 now, maybe even more since we've been on the air. What's your goal?
Yeah, I mean, our record ever is just over 40,000 for a 50-50, so we're hoping to blow that out of the water. So, we'd love to hit that 50,000. That means some lucky person would get $25,000, which is a really nice payday, and then we also get the other half of that to go directly to keeping people warm this winter.
It's a win-win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ainsley. They may not be the first things you reach for at the grocery store, but the newly launched Canadian Fermented Foods Initiative aims to boost awareness of the health benefits of foods like sauerkraut or kimchi. CTV's Kevin Green has more on the program.
Eileen Reimer has spent years studying how foods affect our gut microbiome and ultimately our overall health. She says the bacteria in fermented foods help prevent many serious conditions.
And those are the ones that have been associated with helping to prevent some of these diseases like asthma, allergies, diabetes, etc.
Reimer says aside from yogurt and cheese, the North American diet has largely veered away from foods providing healthy bacteria.
So what we're finding is that our environment that we live in and the foods that we eat has become very sterile.
The Canadian Fermented Foods Initiative outlines a wide range of foods, including kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombucha, advising Canadians to put more of them on their menu.
Just getting microbes and microbiome-friendly foods to have a greater prominence in the food guide and in dietary guidelines for Canadians.
At Light Cellar Superfoods, Chef Alex Hamilton oversees custom fermentations, including some more exotic mixes.
Like this is the garlic, our fermented garlic.
He says his customers are becoming more aware of fermented foods.
They come in looking for it because they know that it is like a necessary part of a diet.
Both Reimer and Hamilton admit fermented foods are an acquired taste, but the science says it's a taste worth acquiring.
See which ones you like and then and try new ones, because there's hundreds, thousands of fermented foods worldwide.
Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
Let's do celebrating a milestone today. Happy birthday, Grandma T. Love from all your family. Happy 22nd birthday, Drayson, with love from your family. Happy birthday, Kingston. Love Mom, Dad, and your siblings and your classmates. Happy 6th birthday, Nashman. Love from your family. And happy 9th birthday, Emma. Your family sends their love and says they're so proud of you. Happy 9th birthday, Harper. Love Mom, Dad, Cohen, Uncle Nicholas, Auntie Cass, and all your grandparents. Happy 25th birthday to Eve with love from Mama et Papa. Happy birthday, Claire. Love and birthday wishes from Dad, Mom, Hayden, Gigi, and Willow. Happy 29th birthday, Trisha, from your Outland Health and Fitness crew, Lady and Enzo. Happy 5th birthday, Finley. Love Mom, Dad, Olive, Grandma, Grandpa, Nan, and Bubbles. And a happy 91st birthday to Kathy. Best wishes from Barb and Wayne in Barbados, and Jan, Mike, Mo, and Caden. To submit your milestone, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Milestones is brought to you by Party Stuff, Winnipeg's balloon headquarters with 3 locations.
Okay, today's high, minus 27. The average temperature would be minus 12, so we're not even coming close to that. We did last year, the record of 6.7 all the way back in 1942, but minus 27, that's as good as it's going to get today. and that's probably as good as it's going to get over the next stretch of days. So just buckle in and know that we've got this to endure for the next little while. Minus 30 is what we're waking up to this morning. Minus 46 is what it's feeling like when you're factoring in the winds. A steady wind right now, 32 kilometers per hour out of the north-northwest. The pressure rising, the humidity sitting at 66%. I've been talking all morning about the extreme temperatures blanketing the province, most of the country, in fact, and the necessary precautions that we need to take in this kind of weather. So exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes. Keep that in mind if you're headed outdoors, out of the walk the dog, get to the bus stop. Regardless of what it is that you're doing outdoors, bundle up. Keep moving. That's a great way to kind of keep your body temperature up. Yesterday, Rochelle had an expert, I think maybe from the Lung Association, talking about breathing and the effect that the cold has on that. And the guest had suggested breathing through your nose as opposed to breathing through your mouth, because that too is such a shock to the lungs. And even a second ago, I stepped outside, took that deep breath in through the mouth, as I shouldn't have done, and you're immediately coughing. It's a shock to the lungs. So your nose hairs might freeze, but it might be a safer way to breathe. Anyway, we're going to deal with this extreme cold through the rest of the week and right into the weekend before we start to see improvements.
Winter can feel long, and experts say connecting with others, exercising, and good music can help lighten your mood. An upcoming dance can help with that. The dance is put on by the Forever Young Club, and it could help you make new connections, dance a hole in the rug, and listen to music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s. It's happening at the end of the month. And joining us now to tell us more about the event is Val Dunphy from the Forever Young Club. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Thanks so much for having us here
thanks
today.
for coming in. Now, the Forever Young Club, it's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, thanks to our founder, Barry Green, almost 30 years.
Wow.
And, you know, he still comes out and dances with us every Saturday, too.
What made him decide to start this group?
Great love for music, great appreciation for music and dance, and I think that's the value that we've carried on all these years when we have our dances once a month.
Okay, so paint a picture for me. What's it like at these dances, and why is it a really great way to cut the winter blues?
It's so much fun. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's people our age, a little younger, a little older, who enjoy music. People come out to dance. You can dance formally, you can dance casually, just whatever you enjoy. And you wouldn't believe the number of people that just are singing the songs and enjoying the music, even from the tables, if they're not into the dance moves.
And what does it do for you when you're able to dance like that? At any age, really.
You know what? Forever young. It really makes you feel a lot younger when you can socialize like that. And it's great exercise. Put on a lot of steps during those dances.
and when you're done at the end of it all, it's kind of like a big dance party, isn't it?
It is. It's like a social, although I will tell you that the music is much lower level, so you can visit a lot.
Okay.
And I think that's what a lot of people say. We're able to talk with our friends, and my husband and I have met so many new friends through this engagement. It's really been a wonderful thing.
Why did you want to join it in the first place? Were you feeling sort of disconnected? Because I know that you're retired. You were with the Kinney Foundation for many years. Did it make you feel like you were connecting with people again?
You know what? We were just looking for a different outing, I think. I love dance. My husband enjoys the music too. And we tried it a couple of times. Everyone was so friendly there, engaging, welcoming, that it was just a nice thing to do once a month. And we look forward to it every month.
And so you go home and you feel tired because you've been dancing all night.
Yes.
You've made some connections, and it really helps to break up those winter months, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Really does. Make some new friends and enjoy some music, whether you dance or not. It's just a nice evening out.
How many members would you say you have?
Probably close to 100.
Okay.
But you don't need to be a member to come. It's $15 at the door, which is really so affordable. And we serve a lovely light lunch. There's an opportunity for 50-50s. There's a cash bar.
It's everything you need.
It is for a nice Saturday night out.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the members, who you're trying to recruit. People should register for the club if they want to show up, right?
They have to register by Tuesday before our Saturday night dance, and that's just so that we can order the food accordingly and don't have waste or anything like that. So we do ask people to call and register for Tuesday for the dance that's on Saturday. So throughout this winter, we're going to have Saturday night dances the last Saturday of the month.
Okay.
We welcome everyone to come out.
And what age group are you looking for?
You know what? There are some people there in their 40s. There are some people there in their 80s. I'm in the middle. But everyone's welcome. And yeah, they can come check it out, and I bet they will enjoy it. I bet they will be back.
People actually dress up for this too. Like in
it can be a more formal night. There's also casual dress. It's really whatever you feel like.
But one image I saw is some of you were wearing poodle skirts.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me. That's a little bit beyond my scope.
But you can if you want to.
Yes, we do have some special themes for that type of dance. But for this Saturday coming up, or the last Saturday in February or March or April, it's really just casual dress.
Okay. If someone wants details, where do they go?
Okay. Our phone number is 261-4442. That's to call, register, or get more information.
Val, thank you so much for this. Now, again, if you want more information, we do have a link on our website as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Community Connection is brought to you by Mr. Reuter Plumbing. Born to be a hero, trained to be a plumber.
Hey there, Matt Scooby in the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Wednesday. And for it, we go to the PWHL. The Victoire and Frost in overtime. Abby Rock going to intercept the stretch pass, dishes to Marie-Philippe Poulin, who pulls off the no-look spinning backhander. Watch this post-snipe show. That's a game winner. What a goal by Montreal's captain. The confidence to try that shot at that moment. A la Sidney Crosby. Poulin gearing up to lead Team Canada at her 5th Olympics, collects her 2nd OT winner this season. That is your must-see moment. Tonight on TSN, we have an NBA doubleheader. First up, the Warriors visit the Mavericks. Then it's the Battle of LA between the Lakers and the Clippers. Coverage starts 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. That's all from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a great day.
The TSN must-see moment is brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, featuring Hunter Douglas products.
It's Thursday, January 22nd. Navigating Ottawa's gun buyback program, what's adding to confusion over which firearms may be included, and whether the Manitoba government will participate. Cabinet retreat. Ministers will attend a weekend meeting in Quebec City. What major topics are likely on the agenda just before Parliament resumes? And students at a St. James High School get together to display their accomplishments and show off their skills at everything from hard science to soft macaroni. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on your Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. We're going to get some reaction to what happened in Davos over the last couple days. Of course, Prime Minister Mark Carney had a really 20-minute speech on Tuesday, and then Donald Trump had a speech yesterday. So we're going to hear from a political scientist at the University of Manitoba just to kind of gauge how it all went and the political climate that is happening right now around the world. We're going to get reaction to that at about 8:15. And then at 8:45, we're going to tell you about Prairie Theatre Exchange. They have a brand new production. It is called Big Stuff. We're going to tell you more about that. And, you know, the political climate might be heating up, but it's not heating up outside.
If only it were, but that's not at all the case. You're right. Extreme cold has taken hold, and we are now in the deep freeze for a stretch of days, like the rest of this week and through the weekend at least, and even the improvements will be slight. Where we're sitting right now is -30, feeling like -46. Those winds right now, they're out of the northwest, 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity is sitting at 66%. So under extreme cold warnings, many places across the country are. We're not in this alone by any means. Bundle up. If you are headed outdoors, just make sure that you're being smart about it. The conditions themselves, there's really not much to talk about. There will be some sunshine, a few clouds here or there. Mix of sun and cloud, could see a few scattered flakes of snow, but overall, snow is not going to be much of a factor. It's the cold that will be. And the bit of a breeze that really drives that wind chill factor up and puts us in that kind of shocking zone where exposed skin can freeze in a matter of minutes. And this is why I'm saying all extremities need to be covered up for the times that you're spending outdoors. And if you are wanting to be active, just keep in mind that like having a face covering or something like that, because we've been talking about like breathing in this intense air that could be, you know, a struggle or discomfort to your lungs and whatnot. This is going to last all through the rest of the week and into the weekend, and the improvements on the other side will still keep us below seasonal, even though, in contrast to what we're coming out of, it's 10 degrees warmer, but -12 would be a normal daytime high, and we're still not getting there into next week. Our art today is fitting for winter. Thank you to Adina for our snowmen today. And keep the pictures coming. We'd love to see more of your art. Show us what you're working on. Send those pictures to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
Winnipeg police have not yet released details regarding an incident Wednesday evening at an Empress Street retail store, though they do say the Major Crimes Unit is involved in the investigation. The incident at the Walmart in the 1000 block of Empress Street prompted police to issue an advisory, telling people to avoid the area. Police say they, along with emergency services, were responding to a serious incident. Police later said the scene was secured and there was no immediate threat to public safety. Following the incident, the Walmart closed for the evening, posting a sign on the store's window saying it was due to unforeseen circumstances. A spokesperson for the Winnipeg Police Service tells CTV it expects more information will be released today. Some Manitoba gun owners are confused about the federal government's gun buyback program. The province says it won't administer the program, but Winnipeg police have already told Ottawa they'll collect the prohibited firearms.
I'll have to get my friends to help me out with their computers so I can figure out whether my guns are legal or banned.
Edward Landy has been a registered gun owner for decades, but he says the federal government's gun buyback program, which launched Monday, has left him confused and frustrated about which weapons may or may not be included in the program. The federal government has outlawed about 2,500 types of guns, including AR-15s. Owners of these firearms have until October to turn them in or permanently deactivate them. The provincial government has said it won't administer the federal program. Still, Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says gun owners will have to comply with the federal law.
There's going to be, avenues that they can do that with the City of Winnipeg, with the RCMP, again, with no provincial resources deployed.
Gun owners must notify the government now by the end, or let the government know by the end of March if they're planning to surrender a firearm and get compensation. The federal government says the amnesty period for these prohibited guns will end on October 30th. Prime Minister Mark Carney starts 2 days of meetings with his cabinet today. The Prime Minister has just returned from a 9-day trip promoting investment in Canada. This 2-day cabinet retreat in Quebec City is expected to focus on the economy, affordability, and security. Prime Minister Carney made headlines in Davos with his speech on Canada's role in a shifting global landscape. Ministers this week will have a chance to talk about how to follow through. Parliament returns on Monday. Sturgeon Heights Collegiate is showing off the achievements of its students. The school hosted a Student Success Expo on Wednesday. It's a combination of Comic-Con and a science fair and skills competition. The event highlighted innovative projects, skills, community service efforts, and talents, along with showing off their talents to classmates. Middle school students are also invited to see what the school has to offer in its French immersion, advanced placement, academics, vocational, and arts programs. Here's a look at what's happening in traffic now along Portage Avenue. Things are moving well over here, but we do have a traffic alert on La Jumadière at Dugald. There's a stopped vehicle blocking the southbound shoulder, so be mindful of that. It'll cause some delays in that part of the city. If you see anything else out there, please let us know. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at Main Street Project this morning. They're in need of support and some help right now. Good morning.
Yeah, and especially with the extreme cold warning outside, leaving our most vulnerable impacted. Karen Murison joins us. With the van outreach, what are you guys seeing on a day-to-day basis, especially during these conditions?
Yeah, so as we all know, it's really, really cold right now, especially today. I think it's minus 30 plus the wind chill. So even during this time of the year, we still have folks that are sleeping rough and sleeping in encampments and trying to get from place to place in this kind of cold, needing warm clothing and supplies. So our van outreach team is out there supporting them.
It's 24/7, the only one in this city that reaches the whole city as well. What does that allow you guys to do? Are you seeing it everywhere or just downtown?
Yeah, so I mean, the nice thing is that in the winter time, we have 2 vans on the road 24/7, so an additional van to support. And you're right, we are citywide. The thing is that a lot of people don't know is that encampments and folks are throughout the city from corner to corner. Many people think that this is something, or these folks are just downtown, but they are citywide. So that's why we do it. That's why we go, perimeter to perimeter to support people.
Unfortunately, it's dark and it's ugly, but there are other risks associated with that extreme cold. What are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, so during this type of extreme weather, the level of danger and urgency really increases for the folks that are staying outside. So, of course, there's issues like hypothermia, and frostbite is a real danger. But in this type of cold, death is also a danger.
Mm-hmm. How can people at home help?
Yeah, so people at home can help in all different kinds of ways. So the first is, we're always looking for donations for warm clothing, hand warmers, mitts, things like that. And folks can also support us by donating or participating in our 50-50 raffle.
Mm-hmm. And I was just looking or hearing, I guess, about the numbers of the raffle. It's hit over $21,000, so they're hoping to double it. Hey, let's even get it to 50. Back to you, Rochelle.
Okay, thank you, Bainsley. Canada's short track speed skaters say they're physically and mentally ready as they head to the Milan Cortina Games. CTV's Christine Long has more.
It's called speed skating for a reason. Since 2006, Canadian speed skaters have won 43 Olympic medals and more than 210 World Championship medals. Head coach Marc Gagnon says this is the strongest team heading into the Winter Games in 3 decades.
They've all been training super good. Frankly, physically, they're all ready. But we know how it is at games. The important part is also to bring your mind and to be ready to control stress and focus on what you'll have to do on the ice.
From Sherbrooke, Quebec, 3-time gold medalist at the 2025 World Championships, and International Skating Union Crystal Globe winner William Danjanu says he's ready for the challenge.
4 years ago, I didn't even qualify for the games, and that now I'm in a position where I can have the weight of the world on my shoulders is pretty cool, actually.
It's the last one, so I'm enjoying everything. It's pretty nice.
Also from Sherbrooke, 4-time Olympic medalist Kim Boutin won 17 medals at the World Short Track Speed Skating Championships. Yet, she says Italy is her 3rd and final Olympic Games.
There's a little bit of lâcher prise. I feel like I'm a bit more calm and having fun, and I feel for me it's the approach that I think I want to, I want to live those games having a mix of really fun and also performing.
Former Olympian and tactical coach Olivier Jean says Quebecers make up the majority of the team.
The competition level is always higher at the Olympic game. We showed great success for a few years now. We're very confident we're going to be physically and mentally ready to perform as good as we've been doing in the past few years.
Coach Gagnon has challenged his team to bring home 7 medals from these Winter Games.
To enjoy the games with my teammates and hopefully get that 7-medal objective. Yeah.
The Milano Cortina Winter Olympic Games 2026 begin in just over 2 weeks, and these skaters are ready to go. Christine Long, CTV News.
Well, that will give us something to watch and a reason to stay inside, at least if, in fact, this cold snap endures that long. We know it'll likely last at least for the rest of the month. We're looking now through the CTV Live Eye, brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. It is cold out there, extremely so. Necessary precautions need to be taken because we're kind of in that dangerously cold zone, and we are across the entire province. We've dropped again, so we're now sitting at minus 31 here in Winnipeg and seeing those similar temperatures throughout the rest of the province. High minus 20s, low to mid minus 30s as we're pushing up into parts of northern Manitoba. Churchill has a few extra clouds. It's slightly warmer there, where it's clearer through the rest of the province. We're seeing how much colder it is and what a difference those clouds can make. Although the wind chill values are still up in those mid minus 40s through the northeast. High minus 40s up around the Lynn Lake area, and we too are in the mid to high minus 40s with that wind chill factored in. So exposed skin can freeze very quickly. We've been talking about this. Make sure all of the extremities are covered up. Make sure that you're moving if you're spending periods of time outdoors. It's one of the better ways to generate body heat. And then, of course, still, you're going to want to take some breaks and find moments to come inside and warm up, especially if you're working outdoors in these conditions, although hopefully your boss has your back for that. Minus 31 as kids get settled into the classroom. Minus 28 through the lunch hour. Minus 27 by the time kids are coming home from school, if you're even, in fact, headed to school today, because we've been hearing about the buses not running in these extremes, because, of course, our safety is of the utmost importance. So throughout the rest of the weekend, we're staying in the extremes and then improving almost 10 degrees, but still well below seasonal, -12. That's a normal daytime high, and we're still going to be below that with the improvements next week. Taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Call it what it is, a system of intensifying great power rivalry where the most powerful pursue their interests using economic integration as coercion.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
They were two very different speeches delivered at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland this week. Prime Minister Mark Carney got a standing ovation when he spoke for about 20 minutes at the forum Tuesday. U.S. President Donald Trump used part of his speech yesterday to directly challenge Carney, saying Canada should be more grateful for, quote, a lot of freebies we get from the U.S. Joining us now to tell us more about this exchange and the political climate around the world right now is U of M Assistant Professor in Political Sciences and International Relations, Brian Peeler. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Michelle.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, first, let's start with reaction to Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech on Tuesday. It's getting a lot of traction on social media. What was his main message, and how is it being received?
Well, the main message, I guess, was that, this rule-based international order that was set up after the end of the Second World War has ended. And he's getting a lot of praise for that. He's getting praise for, telling it like it is. People are saying that the United States would ignore the rules when it was in its interest to do so. And they don't, that clip you played from Trump and his reaction to that statement, that's 90 seconds of an hour-and-a-half speech the other day. But that's pretty insulting to Canadians, particularly to those who, members of the armed forces who gave their lives in Afghanistan fighting alongside the U.S. and for, Canada coming to the aid of the United States after 9/11 as well. The reaction has been positive to Carney's speech around the world.
Trump spoke at the forum, obviously, yesterday, and it was quite a different kind of statement. Tell us about how people are responding to his speech.
Yeah, that's, the responses are very interesting because, remember, Carney talked about in his speech how the rules-based order was over, right? And he was talking about his new phrases, right, values-based realism. And, I can understand this sort of reaction. But, the way that people have responded to Trump's speech seems to show that they are still willing to fight for this rules-based international order. So I'm not so sure I'm ready to call time of death, as Carney and others may be. And maybe that's not what he really meant by the speech. But, take, for example, the reaction to Greenland, Trump's talk about Greenland over the last 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Why weren't states acting or reacting the way they were if they weren't trying to preserve the rules-based international order that Trump was attacking? So, like I said, I'm not, I understand the sentiment here, but, I still think there's something worth fighting for.
Donald Trump did step down from threats to Greenland yesterday, though, saying he wouldn't invade Greenland with force and that tariffs would not be imposed on European nations. Tell us more about what happened there and what happened with Ruda yesterday as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure we do know what happened there yet. This is either an example of Carney said about middle powers getting together and challenging the United States when they think they're wrong and being able to get the United States to climb down from an action that is, clearly not in our state's interest, and, making an argument that it's not in the United States' best interest either. Or it may just be the fact that, Rutte dangled something in front of Trump that he, liked and, suddenly changed his mind. Or it may be, that he, really just explained to Trump how NATO, the Atlantic Charter actually worked, and that, Trump said, oh, right, this is how things work, and so we've already got access to Greenland. We don't need to annex it. We're really, what this framework agreement is, we're really not sure until as with many things with Trump, until it's seen in writing, we're not sure what actually happened.
What is your overall sense of the global climate politically right now, all over the world, and what's been going on with Trump and Carney and everybody else?
Yeah, I think overall, I think, Prime Minister Carney is right to talk about this as a rupture. But I think the people saying that this is the end of the rules-based international order, I think it's too soon to say that. And I remember when Chrystia Freeland was the foreign minister. She gave a similar speech in 2017, talking about defending the rules-based international order, and nothing much came of that. I mean, the stuff that Prime Minister Carney was talking about middle powers getting together, this is not going to come cheap. This is going to be hard work. And what are we actually willing to do to stand up for these values that he talks about, right? Mm-hmm. The Prime Minister has a moment where he can, I think, we're going to have to spend money to do this. The Canadian public seems to be on side with wanting to do this. And, we have to make the Prime Minister needs to make the argument to the Canadian public that sacrifices may have to be made in the next few years to help preserve this order that has made, Canada one of the richer countries in the world.
Well, Brian, thanks for your perspective today. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Let's go to the rooftop now. It's a cold start to the Thursday.
It really is. Yes, we dropped off another degree as we moved into the 8 o'clock hour, and we are still stuck in the extremes. I'm noticing the wind that's increased as well, although it was technically stronger out at the airport last hour, but I'm feeling it more so on the rooftop now, and even a little bit of light flurry activity has picked up at this time. Minus 31 feels like minus 46 with a 30K wind out of the northwest. Pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 64%. It's brighter out here, though. The sun is up now, and like I said, just a few flakes of snow. They really do sparkle in these conditions. Exhaust fog, that's still going to be a factor. The extreme cold, that's the bigger factor. That's what we have to heed the warnings regarding just how dangerously cold this can be if you're not being smart about the time you're spending outdoors. Frostbite can occur very quickly. Make sure you're properly bundled up. Keep moving for the times that you are spending outdoors, and even then you're going to need to limit those times, shortening them somewhat. So find some indoor activities perhaps that'll keep you busy for the next few days, because it is a few days that we're going to endure the extremes through the rest of the week into the weekend, with daytime highs in the mid to high minus 20s. Wind chill values in those mid minus 40s. You gotta bundle up, and even the improvements next week will be slight. These cows, though, they're bundled up, cuddled together to stay warm in these conditions. Thanks to Kevin for the photo. Keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg Weather at CTV.ca.
Weather is brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful. Our new Hunter Douglas showroom is at 900 Lorimer.
Here's a traffic alert for you in Pembina and Manahan. Northbound curb and middle lanes are blocked. There are emergency vehicles on scene, so you should expect delays for northbound Pembina this morning.
Many people are hoping to make 2026 their year of better health and wellness. But in a sea of wellness products, it can be overwhelming to know what is even worth your time. Contributor Nikki Anastasakis is here with some of her recommendations, and they're all Canadian. Good morning, Nikki. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you. Let's jump right in. What are you sharing with us today?
First off, I have an item by Betadine. This is, a lot of us recognize the signs of getting sick. We have a tickle in our throat or a stuffy nose, but we wait too long to act. So Betadine offers over-the-counter upper respiratory products designed to be used at the first sign of a symptom. Their sore throat spray and gargle help treat infections caused by viruses and bacteria rather than just masking the discomfort. And then they have their nasal spray, which works by trapping and disabling viruses in the nose, and is clinically proven to shorten the duration of colds when used early. These are antibiotic-free options, and you can keep them on hand year-round. To learn more, visit betadine.ca.
Okay, very interesting. I know that flu, colds, they're going around. Our crew is dropping like flies around here. All right, what else has caught your eye?
Next up, we have a product by CanPrev, which is creatine. They have their Creatine Magna Powder, which is a Health Canada licensed natural health product, launched just a few weeks ago, actually, and it's not just for athletes and bodybuilders. It can be for everyone. It's designed to support energy production and muscle function, making it a simple addition to your busy day. Creatine is known for its role in helping you build energy levels, especially when you're having a mentally demanding or tiring day. The formula combines creatine with magnesium, which contributes to cellular energy and muscle support. So you can mix it with water and really easy to drink. You can learn more at canprev.ca/creatine. And then next up, I want to talk about Ripped Freak 2.0. This is a product by PharmaFreak. This brand has been around since 2009. And this product is formulated to support weight management goals when used with a balanced diet and an active lifestyle. What's special about it is it contains Sinatrol, which is a patented citrus polyphenol complex that comes from fruits like grapefruit and sweet orange. And this ingredient is part of the product's licensed formulation, and it's been studied for use in weight management support. It is a good natural option for adults looking to, complement their healthy lifestyle habits. Easy to use in a capsule format with lunch or breakfast. And you can learn more at pharmafreak.com.
Okay, now I have to say I've had my eye. Is that cookies that I see at the end there? I'm a snacker. Tell me about what you've got.
We got some good cookies. This is made with local cookies. They provide great protein and fiber options, a good snack made right here in Canada. Each cookie is made with locally sourced ingredients and provides a good source of protein and fiber to keep you satisfied between meals. So you don't have to feel guilty about grabbing this cookie. It isn't full of, bad sugars for you, the typical sugary snack. It's a good alternative to a snacking option. You can purchase this and a lot of these items listed here at Amazon, Walmart, Loblaws, and so much more. And learn more at madewithlocal.com.
Well, I'll never say no to a cookie, and I feel like it's time for my second breakfast. Thank you, Nikki. We should note that the opinions expressed do not constitute professional advice, so please always contact a healthcare professional before making any health decisions. All right, minus 31. Yes, we are freezing. It's freezing cold. That's what it is. We're in the deep freeze, but I feel like I used that phrase too much, so I was going to be creative, and I couldn't. My brain froze. It feels like minus 46 right now outside with those northwest winds, 30 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 64%. How many ways do you even explain the kind of conditions that we have right now other than deep freeze, extreme cold? That's what we're dealing with, and that's what we're going to deal with for the next stretch of days, the rest of this week into the weekend. At least we're not working on the weekend. I won't have to talk about it. And by next week, we'll see some slight improvements, but they will be slight. Right now, we're seeing fairly clear conditions, so plenty of sunshine. At least it'll be nice to enjoy from this side of the glass, because even the time that you're going to be spending outdoors should be limited. Maybe if you don't have to be outdoors, don't. I mean, I'm one of those people that almost always recommends getting outside for at least a stretch of time, a short stretch of time. But in these conditions, it can be dangerous. So just keep that in mind. Exposed skin needs to be covered up. Frostbite happens in a matter of minutes. And we talked yesterday about how uncomfortable it can be breathing as well. So a face covering would be very wise. Minus 27 is where we're headed today. That's our warmest temperature expected, dropping down to minus 30 overnight, still with these stronger northwest winds, still in place for tomorrow as well. Maybe a couple degrees higher, but extremes we're talking about. Normal lows would be around minus 23, and our daytime highs aren't even hitting those numbers. Our actual lows are in the mid-minus 30s. Those improvements that I talked about next week, they'll be slight. Well, they won't be. They'll be relatively impressive, 10 degrees warmer than where we'll be over the weekend, but minus 12 is a normal daytime high, so still not getting anywhere near those numbers, although we will enjoy a little more sunshine again as those temperatures start to drop off.
In the midst of an Arctic cold snap, homeowners in St. Vital are working on digging themselves out of their back lanes following recent snowfall. The trouble is, city graders have created ridges of hard snow, leaving garages and parking paths blocked.
You have to use a big steel shovel. Like, snow shovels don't cut it. And then there's no place to shovel the snow, and you don't want to park in the street in case you get towed, so it's a lot of work to clear it up.
St. Vital resident Bob Yonda has spent many recent hours chiseling out of his back lane driveway. Ridges of snow left behind from city graders are causing headaches and backaches for him and his neighbors. St. Vital City Councillor Brian Mays says many complaints have come his way from residents frustrated by snow ridges left along back lanes. He's looking into why his ward is plagued with so many digouts.
I have a gravel back lane and it got plowed both on Sunday and I shoveled out the windrow and Tuesday and I shoveled out the windrow, so they have a point. There seems to be maybe a little over-enthusiastic clearing here by the staff.
A spokesperson from the City of Winnipeg says work continues on back lanes and spot cleaning after January 18th snowfall. Per the city's snow clearing policy, residents are responsible for having their back lane driveways cleared. This is the morning Hollywood waits for all year. The Academy Award nominations are being announced. The big news so far, a history-making 16 nomination for Ryan Coogler's Sinners. It's among 10 Best Picture nominees. The others are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, and Train Dreams. Coogler is also among 5 nominees for Best Director. In the major acting categories, Best Actress nominees are Jessie Buckley, Rose Byrne, Kate Hudson, Rain Svei, and Emma Stone. Lead actor nods go to Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, Michael B. Jordan, and Wagner Moura. TikTok has been given more time to keep its doors open in Canada. A federal court judge has shelved Ottawa's order for TikTok to shut down its Canadian operations. The court is asking the industry minister to hold a new review. In 2024, Ottawa ordered TikTok out of Canada, but didn't put a ban on the app. TikTok Canada welcomed the decision, saying it will work with the minister. It's a rare achievement in bowling, striking a perfect game, but a Saskatchewan teen has just done it. Here's CTV's Allison Bamford.
Throw after throw. Tanner Pollock spends hours on these lanes.
Almost every day.
The 14-year-old picked up the sport about a year ago, and in the fall he set his sights on bowling the perfect game. 12 consecutive strikes totaling 450 points, a rare feat many go their whole lives without reaching.
It's happened before where I've gone all the way to 11 strikes down to the last throw, but usually I missed it.
But on Sunday, during his 22nd game of the day, Tanner struck perfection by himself on the middle lanes, listening to Queen play through the sound system.
When there's a lot more people and stuff, it's harder to bowl.
Just one other person was around, Melissa Rashke, the owner of Bigger Bowl, catching the big moment on camera.
I've never been around a perfect game. It's amazing that Tanner was able to do this and that I got to witness it.
The Canadian 5-Pin Bowlers Association sanctioned just 13 perfect games in the 2024-25 season. Now, Tanner's game won't count under those guidelines because he didn't score it during league play. But that doesn't make it any less impressive.
Butterflies in the stomach, kind of seeing that thrill and that joy for him was really incredible.
Along with pride, Tanner received $1,000 from the bowling alley for throwing a perfect game. He'll put that towards new bowling balls, shoes, and a bag to help chase his next goal.
I'd like to do good in like a provincials tournament.
Something he hopes to strike off his list this year. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Bigger, Saskatchewan.
Here's a look at what's happening now on Portage Avenue at Polo Park. It looks like things are moving well here. If you have any other traffic tips to share, please text them to us. And let's take a look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.27. The provincial average is lower at $1.19. In Winnipeg, the average is slightly lower at $1.17, and the lowest price in the city is $1.07. All this information is on gasbuddy.com. For our question of the day, we wanted to know, what do you do to stay warm on frigid days like these? Let's check your answers now. Gina says, make soup and cover up. Yes, I think so. April likes to sit in the sauna at the gym. Shirley puts another log in the fireplace and watches CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. Thank you. Marlene stays warm by staying home with a hot chocolate and a good book. And Jackie stays at home with the fireplace on, coffee or tea, curl up with her Kobo, and a heated throw. Thank you so much for your responses. Let's go to Ainsley McPhail now, who's live with Main Street Project this morning. They are in need of support and help right now, especially with this cold. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. And with the extreme cold, it's especially hard, but with the extra challenges, that adds a layer with the fire that happened next door. So Cindy Titus is joining us to tell us a little bit about the landscape of that and where they're at right now.
Yeah, so we're really just getting back on our feet. As we've heard this morning, our shelter was, only closed for a couple of days, so that turnaround happened very quickly, thankfully. We're working with our partners on making sure we have enough clothing donations, so folks can still donate clothing to Main Street Project. They just need to go to Silo Mission for now to do that, or through Linking Hope as well, which is another great community organization. We're working out of a temporary space for our admin office right now. Our food bank is unfortunately closed for a little while, so there are some things that will take us a little while to get back up and running, but we're just really grateful that no one was injured during the fire, and our emergency shelter was able to open quickly.
Just how much do you need?
We definitely will need to restock most of our food items and our clothing items, especially warm clothing, now that we're in a very cold snap that I think will be around for a little while. Lots of warm clothing is really helpful. Financial donations are helpful as well. And then we're also in the midst of a 50-50, as we've heard this morning. I think we're at over $22,000 raised as of this morning for the pot, and we'd love to see that get to over $25,000 before 9 a.m. if possible, and then as a goal, $50,000 for the pot would be great.
And when you make these call outs, generally people really have delivered, and all throughout Manitoba, really.
Yeah, we love coming on the morning show with you all. It's been very wonderful for us, and Manitoba is such a generous community. Whenever we need help, they always come through for us. So just thanks to everyone who's supported us.
How can people find those tickets?
Visit our website at mainstreetproject.ca. There's a link right on our homepage, or go to our social media channels.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and hoping for speedy transition back into that food bank. Hopefully people donate their time and money. Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now, where there is no relief in sight from the cold.
No, you're right about that. It is here to stay at least through the weekend, and then some slight improvements next week, but it's still going to be cold. You just won't find yourselves in quite the extremes that we're in right now. Dangerously cold conditions is what we're settled into now for the next several days. Minus 31 at the moment, feeling like minus 46 with a 30k wind out of the northwest. The pressure rising and the humidity sitting at 64%. And looking up, blue sky above, I can't even see any clouds. There was a few flakes of snow 20 minutes ago, more just like air sparkles. I think it was just probably frozen vapor. But as far as what we're going to deal with today, minus 31 will only improve by a few degrees, and it's those wind chill values that are keeping us in the minus 40s likely throughout the day, and would have prompted those extreme cold warnings to be issued. So exposed skin can freeze very quickly. Limit your time outdoors. Make sure that your mouth and nose are covered if you're spending long periods of time outdoors. I was saying breathing through your nose acts like a little bit of a filter for your lungs. So there are some tips and tricks to kind of help you get through this stretch, because we don't have much choice. It's here to stay right through the coming weekend. Taking a break right now, but we'll be back with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Good morning. Researchers at Montreal's Douglas Hospital are hoping a video game will help prevent youth suicides and improve mental health. CTV's Sweeta Rassi has more.
At first glance, this looks like any other video game. Colorful, interactive, and familiar.
Positive mental health while playing the game.
But this game is not just for entertainment. It's called The Road Ahead, and it's created by young people for young people with mental health issues. Manuela Ferrari is a researcher at the Douglas Hospital.
They get the information they need, the skill, and they can help them to overcome whatever they are experiencing.
By creating a video game, she says it's a way to meet young people where they're comfortable, especially given the stigma surrounding mental health. The game provides players with an opportunity to deal with whatever stress they have.
So there is a scene in the game where a person goes for a walk and sit down and start to do some breathing exercises.
While it doesn't use artificial intelligence, it does come at a time when more and more young people are turning to AI for mental health support. And the psychology professor at UCAM warns that's not always the best option.
Like everything, it can be misused.
She says tools like AI can induce biases.
The way AI systems are built, they are built to agree with you. They are built to encourage you and, validate what you're saying.
That's what happened to one Montreal woman last summer. 24-year-old Alex Carrier, who had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, died by suicide. Her last conversation is believed to have been with ChatGPT. Her family says the chatbot was confirming her fears and doubts.
And instead of providing support, it validated the suicide intent.
Through Discord, they communicate and they keep.
That's why Ferrari says games like The Road Ahead can be important, especially at a time when accessing mental health services can be a challenge. That was the thinking behind the game.
What if we provide something that's evidence-based, it's friendly, such as a video game, something that we do play for pleasure or for enjoyment with friends, and that is an environment where they get the information they need, the skill, and they can help them to overcome whatever they are experiencing.
The game is still in the early stages, but Ferrari hopes it can provide a safe online space for those who need it the most. Sweet Arasi, CTV News.
Many of us collect mementos over our lifetimes, some maybe of a time in our youth or even an item from a loved one who is no longer here. Those objects are not necessarily practical, but we hang on to them for purely emotional reasons. A new play at the Prairie Theatre Exchange is exploring this ritual and surrounding it with humor. The production is called Big Stuff. Joining us now are actors and creators Matt Barham and Naomi Sneakus. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you are a married couple.
For realsies.
Okay, and this story started from real life. It's a personal experience.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
You go.
So about 5 years ago, the last of our parents passed away, and we became these old orphans, we say. And so we had to decide what to do with all of the stuff that they left behind. And when we did that, we realized we had vastly different reactions to that and philosophies about what to do with the stuff.
Weird that we're not exactly the same, right?
Okay. No,
it's weird.
So different. I want to throw everything away.
I want to keep everything. Everything is sentimental to me.
I've never met a garbage can I didn't want to use as a garbage can, and she'll turn it into a side table with spray paint. So we thought there was enough conflict there to to base a show on when we found out that what we were feeling, we weren't alone.
Okay.
A lot of folks feel that way.
Yeah, we talk about like boxes in our basement, and as soon as you say, yeah, I've got a box of my parents' stuff in our basement, everybody was like, I get it. I get it, me too. They have a drawer, they have a box, they have a garage, they have a storage container.
Right.
So super relatable.
We all have kind of that stuff. You brought a toaster.
Yeah.
Okay,
Why the toaster?
Well, this is one of the things, if you've seen the show, you know.
Well, yeah, we were living in Los Angeles for a period of time, and we'd be flying back and forth, and one time Naomi's pulling a toaster out of our carry-on bag.
We needed a toaster in Los Angeles.
Why they have toasters in Los Angeles?
You don't know for sure that they have toasters. You have to bring one. But also, why would I buy a toaster in Los Angeles when I have a good toaster at home? I just have to bring. It's actually quite
So that's insane
smart.
talk to me. So that symbolizes our differences.
But at one point we had like maybe 6 toasters in our life. We were toaster
and
heavy.
we're off bread.
Yeah, it's also,
so
I don't even eat bread.
Don't eat bread.
It's ridiculous.
Need not a single toaster.
Yeah.
So tell us about Big Stuff then, because obviously this inspires the theme.
Yeah, so Big Stuff is about the sentimental, the physical, the emotional stuff we can't let go of when we lose someone.
Yep.
And what happens is when folks come to the show, they'll find a little card with a pencil, and there's a question, and it says, what's something in your home that reminds you of someone?
Okay.
And then they'll write down that thing.
And then we find a way of entwining those stories into our stories. We find out about what those things are, and suddenly it becomes not just our show, but it becomes like the audience's show.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of laughs from the audience.
Yeah, this isn't heavy. I mean, it's grief, but it's also how we deal with things,
Yeah,
you know?
we process
we're from Second
everything
City,
through laughs, and we feel like we can't go to those other places unless we're making people laugh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've been to Edmonton with the show, Ottawa, Montreal. You're now in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Why is it so successful?
That's a good question. I think it must be a universal topic. People are feeling seen, and more, I think folks want to feel seen in the theater.
Yeah, I also think that when we started it, we didn't want to do a show that was a presentation. We want to do a show that was interactive, and this is as interactive as the audience wants to be. Some people are like, well, I don't want to go to a show that makes me participate, but there's something about talking about, the loved ones that are no longer here with us, but also the stories that we have. We don't have an opportunity to do that often, so it's really satisfying to hear about, those salt and pepper shaker collection that woman had the other night, or the cactus collection.
That is so fun.
This guy had a cactus collection. He had 100 cactuses at home.
That's incredible.
That's
so
something.
Big Stuff runs until February the 1st. It's on right now at Prairie Theatre Exchange. You could go on our website to find a link. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Great
Congrats
to meet
on
you,
the
Rochelle.
success of the show.
Thank you so much.
Keep in touch.
Imagine you could just set up all of those cactuses, though, and turn up the heat and then feel like you're in a little bit of a desert this time of year. I wouldn't mind a little bit of a mental escape like that. All right, it's minus 31. We are still in the extremes, feeling like minus 46 once you're factoring in those winds. Out of the northwest, they're 30 kilometers per hour with the pressure rising and the humidity at 64%. The best news I can share with you is the sun is shining. I mean, not that it doesn't shine every day, but sometimes we deal with some heavier clouds. Few clouds out there. You can see the sun. You might be able to find yourself in a sunbeam on this side of the glass, like a cat curled up trying to stay warm. Good luck to anybody who's stepping outside trying to stay warm, because we are in the extremes and we'll stay there through the coming weekend. Mid to high minus 20s, overnight lows in the minus 30s. That lasts until next week when we get the slightest bit of an improvement. Taking a break right now, but stick around. We'll be back in just a moment with Your Morning Winnipeg.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Well, Terry, sometimes when you're enjoying a song, you can't tell by the faces you make. Oh yeah, this 2-year-old rocker is a toddler enjoying Metallica Enter Sandman like no one else. He has a good taste for music and rock and roll.
It's not just the faces. He's got the moves and everything.
He does, in a diaper. Now to how living should be for our feathered friends. This isn't your average duck house. This A-frame cottage is a floating home for 4 fabulous feathered friends. That's cool.
That is cool.
It's very pretty, too. And lastly, it's never too early to have a skincare routine.
So this is love. So this
Oh my goodness.
Look at this pampered baby. This 1-month-old is enjoying the finer things in life and is getting a facial from her mom. Apparently, this is part of her nightly bedtime routine. Lucky for her, and her mom is an esthetician. Look at her.
Getting used to the good life.
Zoned out.
I'm here for it.
Yes, this is what I need on this cold day. Absolutely. That does it for us. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.